What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Appreciate you making us a part of your start if you are already up and at it, whether it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, streaming us up online at sportstalk1051.com, WAYYradio.com. You got the app, download that. Take it on the go. Video stream also up and rolling here this morning. Got your smart devices, smart speakers like your Alexa devices, multiple different ways for you to be joining in. What do we have on our game plan for us this morning? Brew Crew picking up a win last night against the Diamondbacks. Offense coming alive a little bit for the Brew Crew, especially in that sixth inning when the Crew put up 8 runs in the bottom of the sixth. But the Brewers got things started off with Sal Frelick hitting a solo shot in the bottom of the second, adding a couple more insurance runs in the fourth. D-backs making things interesting in the fifth. Bases loaded against Chad Patrick. We're able to get a couple runs across the board, but the Brewers bouncing back and putting up 2 more in that bottom of the inning, and then just really putting the nail in the coffin with 8 runs in the bottom of the sixth inning. Chad Patrick does pick up the win, going 5 innings, giving up 2 earned runs, had issues with walks in that final inning, ends up with 5 total walks, did strike out 5 batters as well. But you had Contreras getting a couple hits, Terang with a couple hits, Tyler Black with a nice performance last night with 3 hits and 3 RBIs, Sal Frelick, as we mentioned, with the homer and a couple of hits too. Even Hamilton getting in with a couple hits. So Brewers will be back at it tonight, looking for another win, a Game 2 win, and securing a series victory. We've got Brandon Sproat on the mound tonight for the Crew. So also yesterday, Brewers getting some good news in terms of Jackson Cheerio and Andrew Vaughn. They will last night beginning a rehab assignment at AAA Nashville with the goal of making their, I guess Andrew Vaughn technically made their debut, but being back in the lineup May 4th, beginning a series against the St. Louis Cardinals. So potentially some help coming soon for the Brewers, especially when it comes to Jackson Cheerio and such. And I know we're probably putting a lot of expectations on those shoulders of Cheerio and Andrew Vaughn. And remember, Jackson Cheerio hasn't even played yet this season. So, but nonetheless, Brewers could definitely use those guys coming back in the lineup. So, some good news coming down the way here for the Brew Crew. So, we'll talk some Brewers, take a look back at last night's win, and look ahead to tonight's game. So, yeah, they were supposed to. Nashville Sound's supposed to play last night, but postponed because of weather. So, they'll have a game tonight. I would imagine that's when Jackson and Andrew Vaughn are going to play. And then they got a doubleheader coming up on Thursday if you're going to be tuning in and following some Nashville Sounds games and trying to get a sense of how those guys are going to be doing. So, what else do we have on the docket here this morning? We'll chat a little football to kind of get your input, the homework assignment that I gave you yesterday. Now that the draft is over with, it's in the books and such, and we look at the roster here. What do you think is the biggest question mark, maybe your biggest concern? Is it still the same before the draft? Did the draft alleviate some of that concern, some of that questions, just from a depth perspective? Obviously, we don't know how well these rookies are going to perform. We've got optimism. There's potential is there. We all know this. But when you look at the depth chart now, and you look at the roster construction right now for this for this team, where is your biggest question mark? Where is your biggest maybe concern surrounding this? Think about that for a little bit. Well, hopefully you did a little bit last night for your homework assignments, and I want to hear from you. So start to hit me up. Okay, 715-830-1912. Also, available on the Section 105 chat room on the video stream. So we'll chat a little bit about that. It is your Hy-Vee game changer of the week. So who is your game changer? It could be a draft pick. You're like, man, I think that pick is a game changer for this team. Or maybe it was a play, or maybe it was a player, or another type of front office move, or maybe it was the Phillies firing their manager, bring Don Mattingly. Like, hey, I think that's going to be a game changer, and the Phillies are going to bounce back. So, just giving you examples. So, send those on over. It is also a Mike's Star Market. Am I wrong? Give me your sports take, your sports opinion, where you would say, am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking that? Am I wrong for saying that? So we'll do a little inside the hobby. I'll just give you a heads up. The card giveaway that we're going to be doing today, we're going to go with a rookie Jackson Churio PSA graded 10. All right, so right now that's the card. It's already cased up in that PSA 10 2022 Bowman Mega Box Jackson Churio Chrome. So that's going to be the card we're going to be giving away. Tell you what, for all of our listeners in the first hour, I'll tell you what you have to do to enter to potentially win this card coming up in the leadoff segment. So make sure you're tuning in for that, and then we'll announce the winner after the program is over with. Coming up shortly after 8 o'clock as well, we've chatted with a couple of the producers, directors, Fireside Productions with their new documentary coming out with Coob. I'm sure a lot of people in the Chippewa Valley, the Eau Claire area, have played Coob or know about Coob and such. So the new documentary is dropping tomorrow at the Pablo Center. So quick chats with the producers from Fireside Productions surrounding that. So BJ and Steve will be hopping on at around 8 o'clock here this morning. So that's your game plan for us this morning. All right, so let's pitter-patter. Let's get at her, shall we? We'll open up things, talking some baseball, talking a little Brew Crew here this morning. Brewers bats coming alive last night. Hopefully they can kind of continue this. And, when Jackson and Andrew Vaughn return here soon, potentially even next week. So, but we'll talk a little bit about that and preview tonight's Game 2 between the Brewers and the Diamondbacks. In case you are doing a little scoreboard watching, Brewers did move up a little bit in the standings, now above the Pirates. Pirates are 16-14 because the Cardinals beat them last night. Brewers sitting there at 15-13. So that's kind of where the standings are at. But it'll be a tough matchup with Rodriguez going for the Diamondbacks tonight. Left-handed pitcher Rodriguez, he's off to a really good start this season. So, and we know the lack of some right-handed at-bats for the Brewers. So, but all right, let's take our first break, and then we'll get the leadoff going here this morning. All right, we'll be right back in just a couple minutes to talk a little Brew Crew on this Wednesday morning. There's a lot of things going on at the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue. So if you're saying, hey, man, there's nothing going on, it's kind of boring, you need to head on over to the VFW Post 305 because coming up on Saturday, May 2nd, you got a couple of events. You can join them for the American Legion Baseball Meat Raffle at 3 p.m. and help raise some funds to support American Legion Baseball. And then the same day at 4 p.m., you got the Derby. So they'll be featuring some food and drink specials along with fabulous prizes for the top 3 Derby hats. Hats are optional. And then coming up on May 7th, Thursday night, May 7th at 4 p.m., they've got the VFW Post 305 Burger Contest. Come on out and cheer on their kitchen staff as they showcase their creations for the chance of getting their burger listed in the Volume 1 magazine for Burger Week in June. So that's coming up on VFW, coming up on Thursday, May 7th. So starting this weekend, you got the meat raffle to help the American Legion baseball team at 3 p.m. And then 4 p.m., the Derby party. And then May 7th, next Thursday, the burger contest. Always something happening at the VFW Post 305, located 1300 Star Avenue in Eau Claire. All right, so how about this? We're going to run it throughout the next few hours up until 10 a.m., and it's going to be simple. Every Wednesday, since we do a little Inside the Hobby talk and such, thanks to our listener, Paul, who has donated a lot of cards for us to give away for every Wednesday. For today, on the news of Jackson Cheerio hopefully returning soon here for the Brewers. One of the cards he has donated is a PSA graded 10 2022 Bowman Mega Box Jackson Cheerio Chrome card. If you're watching the video stream, it's right there. All right. And I'm going to make it simple. All right. Because I just want some participation, and I want a lot of people to have a chance to win this card, whether it's for yourself or for somebody else. Hit me up with a text on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or you could comment on the video stream. I'll keep tabs of everything on there. It's got to be a text, or it's got to be on the video stream. That way I can collect them all. Since Jackson Cheerio is a lot of younger kids' favorite Brewers player, tell me who was and it could be any sport, who was your favorite player growing up when you were younger? That's it. That's all you got to do. There's no right or wrong answer in this thing. Who was your favorite player growing up as a kid? You hit me up with a text. You hit me up with a comment on the video stream. You're going to be entered. And then I'll collect all of them. And in the order I get your message, that's going to be your assigned number. And I'll just go up on a website that just randomly gives me a number. I punch in 1 through whatever. And that's going to be the winner. That's it. That's simple. All right. So PSA graded. Yeah, you can hear it. That's the PSA graded Jackson Cheerio 2022 Bowman Mega Box card for our Inside the Hobby this morning. All you got to do is tell me who your favorite player was as a kid. Because Jackson Cheerio, I think if you asked a lot of younger baseball fans, younger Brewers fans, Cheerio might be at the top of the list. Not for everybody, but it's probably a good bet. So, all right. Speaking of Jackson Cheerio and the Brew Crew, Brewers picking up a win last night to open up their series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Nice win for the Crew. Nice way. Hopefully they stay some runs for tonight and the rest of the series, all right? You know, I'm not the only one who was probably thinking that last night. But Cubs did win too, so I was like, gosh, darn it. Yeah. But anyways, Brewers. Focus on the Brewers, right? Focus on the Brewers. 13 total runs for the Brew Crew. They got it started off with Sal Frelick ending the drought of home runs for the Crew. He picked up the solo shot in the bottom of the second. Brewers adding a couple more. Joe Ortiz, how about him in the bottom of the fourth? 2 RBI single. Atta boy. Diamondbacks did cut it a little bit closer, putting up 2 in the fifth because Chad Patrick was having some issues with the walks. Making it a little bit close, but the Brewers getting those 2 runs back and then really putting the nail on the coffin in the bottom of the 6th, putting up 8 runs. 15 total hits for the Brewers compared to just 3 hits for the Diamondbacks. But it was the walks because Chad Patrick issued 5 walks in the game last night. He got off to a really good start. No hits in that and just lost a little bit of that control towards the end there. But he does get credited with the win to improve to 2-1 on the season with a 2.57 ERA. So Tyler Black with a nice performance. 3 hits, hitting in the DH spots. 3 hits, 3 RBIs. Contreras, Terang. This is what I want to see. I think everybody kind of wants to see in the lineup where you see your 2, 3, 4 hitters each collecting multiple hits. Contreras batting in that second spot, 2 hits. Terang in the third, 2 hits. Black, 3 hits in the fourth. That's what we want to see. Frelick also collected a couple hits. And how about David Hamilton at the bottom of the lineup with a couple hits? And as we mentioned, Joey Ortiz, he did end up with a couple of hits too with that big 2-run single. So Brewers will be back at it tonight, and it's going to be a tough one from a pitching standpoint when we look at this matchup here. Brewers, first off, will be throwing out Brandon Sproat, one of the young fireballers of this ball club. He's coming off of a no decision against the Tigers where he went 5 1/3, giving up 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. It was the start prior to that against Toronto when he easily had his best start of his Brewers career, going 6 2/3, 4 hits, and 1 earned run. So far in 5 games this year for Brandon Sproat, he is 0-1 with a 6.45 ERA and just a little over 22 innings pitched. Does have 20 strikeouts on the season. On the flip side, Eduardo Rodriguez is going for the Diamondbacks, and he is off to a very solid start, 2-0 in 5 games started, 2.89 ERA. However, if you look at it from his last couple of games, he's struggled a little bit in terms of earned runs. He has given up 4 earned runs in each of his last 2 starts. Going back to the 15th against Baltimore, he went 5 innings, giving up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 walks, just 3 strikeouts. And then his latest outing, going up against the White Sox, 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, a couple home runs, and 3 walks. So he started off the season really hot. 3 starts and just 1 total earned run in those 3 starts. So that's why his ERA is still about 2-something, even though giving up the 4 earned runs in each of his last 2 games. When we look at it from an experience standpoint, obviously there's no Diamondbacks players have any experience going up against Sproat and such. However, we do have a few Brewers players who have some experience going up against Rodriguez. You got Contreras with 7 career at-bats, but he's just 143 with a 4.43 OPS. Sal Frelick in 5 career at-bats, 200, 600 OPS. Joey Ortiz, 6 career at-bats with Blake Perkins, if you want to throw him on there. Luis Rengifo's got 11 career at-bats, 182 average, though, and a 364 OPS. Gary Sanchez has the most career at-bats against him. I would imagine he's going to be in the lineup, too, because it's a left-handed pitcher, and Gary being a right-handed bat. 21 career at-bats, 238, including a home run, 836 OPS. And then Bryce Terang in 7 career at-bats. This is kind of a little interesting nugget. I know it's only 7 career at-bats, but Terang being a lefty going up against a left-handed pitcher. Terang is actually 571 against him with a 1.142 OPS. So that's just kind of your breakdown of this lineup here. So hopefully the Brewers offense can kind of pick up where they left off last night and maybe take advantage of Rodriguez, his last 2 games, giving up 4 earned runs in each one. But, you're probably looking at a lineup where, Bowers is not going to be in. I would imagine Gary Sanchez is probably going to start at first, or maybe they go with Rengifo starting at first because he's a switch hitter. But you're going to see a righty-heavy lineup, maybe not even a Sal Frelick in this thing, too. This is where, Jackson Chourio and Andrew Vaughn could really help out this ball club by putting in some right-handed at-bats here. So, but, yeah, that's kind of where it's at with this thing. When you're looking at the standings here, after last night's games, taking a look at it from a Brewers standpoint, the Brew Crew are now fourth in their division. They're a half game back from the Cardinals. Brewers are still 3.5 back from the Cincinnati Reds. Cubs are in second. Cardinals third. Brewers in fourth. Pirates now in last place. But the Pirates Brewers holding a slight advantage in the standings based off of win percentage from that. So, I see a lot of you are texting in with your favorite player. All right, keep it coming. I like it. All right, hit me up with the text. Doesn't matter what sports, but I like that it's all baseball so far, it looks like, from what I could just tell. But hit me up, 715-830-1912 with a quick text if you want to win this 2022 Bowman Mega Box Jackson Cheerio PSA graded 10 card donated to us. We got a bag full of some of these cards. We got a bunch of Paul Molitor cards too. I gotta hand out here. But again, big thanks to listener Paul for doing that. So, and you could chime in on the video stream with your pick too. So, all right, we got to take a quick break. Packers fans, what after the draft now, what position group has the biggest question mark in your opinion? Is it the same as it was before the draft? Has it changed? Maybe you were concerned about cornerback group, but now that they drafted two, you're like, okay, it's not cornerback group anymore. It's this. Or maybe, is it different? Is it the same? What is the position group that maybe you have the biggest question mark surrounding this current ball or the ball club right now? What's a position group that you think that they maybe need to address with some veteran free agents? We'll hit that up, but we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Had a fun events going on today for our friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. It's, a little springtime party. It's a tiki type of day here, too. So here's the schedule of the events for the Hy-Vee springtime party for today, because they got a lot of stuff going on this week at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. But, hey, you want a fresh lay from the floral department? That's all day. Shaved ice outside the front entrance. That's going to be from 2 to 7 p.m. The Coconut Bar, located at the Hy-Vee Grill, 1 to 7 p.m. And then Hy-Vee Grill, 1 to 7 p.m., where I grab burger and a bunch of other cool stuff there, too. So that is happening today. All right, today at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Again, get maybe a fresh lay from the floral department. That's going to be all day, but a lot of stuff starting at 1 p.m. And, shaved ice actually sounds pretty good, too. So that'll be going on till 7 p.m. tonight. For more details and check out some of the sales that's going on at Hy-Vee, make sure you follow them on Facebook. Just look them up at Hy-Vee Eau Claire. I like seeing all these texts coming in. Again, if you're just joining in, since it is a Wednesday, a little inside the hobby talk here today. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but we are giving away a PSA graded 10 Jackson Cheerio 2022 Bowman Mega Box card. Just simply asking. There's no right or wrong answer for this, because sometimes we'll ask trivia or anything like that. I'm just looking for who's your favorite player when you were younger, when you were a kid, because I think if you asked a lot of younger Brewers fans, Jackson Cheerio might be their favorite player. Just going to go through some of the lists, because I like this. We got Brandon from Chippewa saying favorite player in the 90s was Scottie Pippen. In the early 2000s, it switched to Kevin Garnett. Jerry from Chippewa Falls said Robin Yount. Mark said my favorites growing up, which was a long time ago, back in the 60s. Bart Starr in football and Harmon Killebrew in baseball. No Brewers or Braves in Wisconsin, so I was a Twins fan as their games were broadcast locally. C-Bomb says my favorite player was Paul Kaufman. I was little before Brett Favre came around when I was in high school. Growing up, Kirby Puckett was my all-time favorite. I used to stick my butt out to try to emulate him. I was 11 during that 87 World Series, and I thought he was the best player ever. We got a Jeremy. He said that my favorite player growing up was Brett Favre. He was so fun to watch, and you had to be on the edge of your seat every time he threw the ball. Steve from Eau Claire. Don Kessinger. Nice. Cubs. Big Worm saying Chip Jones. Brian saying Gorman Thomas. Dustin says, without a doubt, Ken Griffey Jr. Sam had said Ricky Weeks and Live a Dream. Jeff said Lynn Dickey. And we got a Sandberg from the Cubs pick that just came in here too. So if you're wondering how to win this too, I'm just collecting all the answers, and in the order that you texted them or put them on the video stream, like John on there says Paul Molitor, Joe had Cecil Cooper. You could comment on the section or on the video stream too. That adds in. But in the order that you sent those messages, you automatically are getting assigned a number, and I'm putting them in a random website that'll randomly give me a number over there. So that's how we'll select it. And this goes on until 10. So I want to get a lot of people chiming in for a chance to win this. For the one texter on the video stream, I got a lot of Paul Molitor cards we got to get to here yet, too. A lot of graded Paul Molitor cards there, John. So we'll have to get to one of those pretty soon here for you to get a chance to win that, too. So, but I'll save the Packers chat coming up here for maybe just past 7 o'clock here to give you a little bit more time. But when you look at the depth chart now, when you look at this, after the draft class, and you look at where Green Bay plugged some holes with their 6 picks, what position group is the biggest question mark to you? What group maybe concerns you the most in terms of depth? That's kind of where I want to look at it from, because rookie wise, we don't know how they're going to perform. So just from a depth perspective, maybe which position group worries you the most, where you have the biggest question mark? And did it change? I want to know, did it change for you too? Where maybe you had a question mark on the cornerbacks, but now that the Packers drafted 2 corners, maybe you're like, I'm good now. That's not my biggest concern anymore. It's now this position group. I've got one. I got a couple, but one really kind of sticks out to me that we'll hit up just past 7 o'clock here this morning. So I want to give everybody a chance to chime in on that. But again, Brewers tonight, game 2. We got Brandon Sproat on the mound for the Crew going up against Rodriguez from the Diamondbacks. That first pitch is going to be at 6:40. Coverage will begin at 6:05 on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. So, Brandon Sproat, again, kind of looking at his last couple of starts here. Going back to the 16th against Toronto, easily his best start, going 6 2/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 6 Ks. Detroit, 4 no decision, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. What does Brandon Sproat have in store for the Crew tonight? That's going to be the big question there. And can the offense give him enough run support? But before the game started yesterday, too, some of that positive news that help is on the way. How many of you, I did it, Mrs. Doubtfire, help is on the way, dear, when Pat Murphy and the Brewers announced that Jackson Churio and Andrew Vaughn would begin rehab assignment, and the goal is, I know the Nashville game got postponed last night, so I don't know if that pushes it back a little bit, but the goal was, or is, May 4th return for Jackson Churio and Andrew Vaughn, which would be game 1 of their series going up against the St. Louis Cardinals. So definitely, this is an example of tonight going up against a left-handed pitcher where we could use guys like Jackson Churio and Andrew Vaughn and get some more right-handed ABs, right-handed batters into this lineup. But, I know we're probably inadvertently, not on purpose, going to be putting a ton of pressure on Jackson Churio, a ton of pressure on Andrew Vaughn when they do come back in this lineup because the offense needs a little bit more of a consistent spark. And we're looking at probably more specifically Jackson Churio at this point because we have not seen him at all yet this year. There is that anxiety. There is this, excitement like, okay, let's get this guy back in, and it's instantly is going to help boost our lineup and such. And you know what? Might take a little bit for him to get into a little bit of a groove because he hasn't played baseball in a while. He hasn't played at all for the Brewers yet this year. Last he played a little spring training in that, but World Baseball Classic. But remember, it was opening day when it was announced that he was going to be on the injured list. So it's been over a month. So we might have to be a little bit patient. Obviously, I think we all want Jackson Churio to come out and just start raking all over the place with his bat in that, but it might take a little bit to build up. So I'm trying to keep the expectations in check. I know it's hard as a fan. It's hard for me too as a fan to kind of keep that into check, but we got to do that with Jackson when he does come back. But hey, if he's going to start off hot and he's going to start to, hit home runs and continue to get on base and be this RBI machine, I won't complain about that either. I don't think anybody would complain about that. So, but I am curious when he does come back, though, how the lineup will look in terms of like Terang and Contreras. Does he put Churio? I think, is Terang the leadoff? Is Churio the leadoff? I think, honestly, it might be Churio the leadoff, Terang at 2, Contreras at 3. They've been putting Mitchell kind of at the leadoff spot here a little bit. I think fully healthy when Yelich is back in that too, it might go a little. Then I wonder if they go lefty, righty. Terang, Churio, Yelich, Contreras. But we'll get to that point when we get to that point. So, all right. We got to take a quick break as we start to wrap up the first hour. Keep those picks coming in. All right, keep those picks coming in. Who is your favorite player? I don't care what sport. But who was your favorite player when you were younger, when you were a kiddo? All right, who is maybe the player that you tried to emulate? I'll be honest, Frank Thomas was probably, if I keep it from baseball, Frank Thomas was probably my first favorite baseball player. The Big Hurt. That's probably where I would have to go. I had a White Sox hat. I don't know why. I can't remember why. Maybe it was because White Sox games were on TV, not as much as Cubs. I grew up where the only games on TV were the Braves because of TBS, TNT, or Cubs on WGN. Don't know. I can't remember why it was Frank Thomas, but Probably got the hat at Kmart in Medford. I know I got a Marlins hat. I remember getting the Marlins hat from Kmart in Medford. But, yeah, I had a White Sox hat, and I ended up being like a Frank Thomas fan for a while. Maybe, honestly, I think it was because when I was playing T-ball and Little League for the Whittlesey Lions, I think it's because I played a lot of first base, and that might have been the reason why I ended up being a Frank Thomas fan. But anyways, send those on over, okay? We'll take a quick break, and we'll wrap up the first hour. First quarter's already coming to a close. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Get your vehicle ready for some long road trips this summer. Maybe it's for a little vacay. Maybe it's taking the kiddos to all their tournaments and such. And you can get ready for that with the help from AJM Automotive Services. 2 locations in Eau Claire, Brackett Avenue, 1919 Brackett Avenue, 1627 Bellinger Street. And going on right now is their spring special for only $199.99. AC system check, new cabin filter, oil change, synthetic oil change, tire rotation, safety inspection, fluid top off. You can check them out online, and to make your appointment, you can go to ajmautomotiveservices.com, and it's easy just to go on their Facebook page too, where you can find out more details about this awesome sale here too. So before you hit the road for some road trips or for some long travel sessions, make sure your vehicle's ready to go with the help from AJM Automotive Services right here in Eau Claire. 2 locations to better serve you. So we've got Junior Bridgman, Tim in the Cooley region saying Junior Bridgman, Bucks 6-man with a sweet jump shot. Surveyor Sam says if you were a Wisconsin kid growing up in the 90s, you wanted to be Brett Favre. I know I did. 5-step drop and then chucking the ball as hard as you could to your buddy, pretending to be Sterling Sharp on a 3-yard slant route, only for your buddy to start yelling at you for throwing it too hard. Classic. Do kids, I know kiddos still play recess and that, but man, I think about some of those days and pretending to be your sports idols. Survey, you just gave me some flashbacks of playing football or basketball at recess, or playing baseball at your friend's house in the summer. The big old pine tree was probably the catcher, and that was the strike zone, right? Playing 1v1 baseball with some Nerf baseball bats and Nerf baseballs. Pitcher ghost runners and all that. We'd take a notebook and we'd draft a lineup, and then we'd have to emulate. So, like, I always picked Dion as my leadoff hitter, left-handed hitter. So if you had a left-handed hitter or whoever drafted Griffey, you had to bat left. Even if you were righty, you had to bat left. Oh, man, those were some fun times as a kid. I still remember those. Justin from Eau Claire says, football was my best sport to play growing up, and I had Reggie White posters all over my room. For baseball, the Brewers were pretty bad. So when I was a kid, my favorite player was Jeff Bagwell. I wasn't great playing baseball, but I tried to mirror his batting stats. That's probably why I wasn't very good. How many we all did that as a kid, right? I mean, I remember for a while, too, in Little League, I would try to emulate Mark McGwire because I thought, hey, if I emulate Mark McGwire's batting stance, I could hit for some power. Nope. That wasn't the reason why. It's probably because I was a skinny little kid. That's why. Not because I couldn't do the batting stance the same way. But keep those coming. All right? Keep those coming. This is awesome. You can hit us up on the texting line, on that Shoe Doctors line, or in the Section 105 video chat. Brandon on there says, I'm with you, Dan. I played first base on a Little League team named the Sox, so naturally I became a Frank Thomas fan. That's probably why I became a Frank Thomas fan. That has to be, because I know I always wanted to play first base in T-ball, because in T-ball there was like 2 positions where you got the ball, or like very early, I guess now they call it coach pitch and that, but pitcher and first base, you got the ball all the time. You got the ball thrown to you at first base, or at pitcher, you'd catch the ball if it was a pop-up or a grounder, and then you throw it to first. So I always wanted to play it, and I always ended up playing first base a lot until I ended up being a pitcher. But that's got to be that, and very limited hat selection of teams at the Kmart in Medford. Probably had a lot to deal with it. Brewers just stunk when I was a kid. So, and they weren't really on TV, and yeah, they were on the radio, but as a kid, I was kind of like, whatever. Knew about them, but really wasn't. Knew about them mostly from, 80s and hearing stories of the 82 team and that. But keep them coming. Keep them coming. Hit me up. All right, text them on over, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Coming up next hour, we'll talk a little green and gold. After the draft, what's the position group that now you have the biggest concern about? Seabaum saying corner is my biggest concern. Was that the same before the draft, Seabaum? Or has it changed after the draft? But he says, my biggest concern is corner, especially if Parsons isn't back to start the season. At least with him, they don't have to cover long. Without him, they are out on islands, and we don't have any shutdown corners. I guess I'm kind of also looking at it from a depth perspective. Just kind of looking at it from a depth perspective. So let me know. Let me know your thoughts on that. I have one that really stands out to me from, I guess, not a concern about starter, but I'm a little concerned on if the starter's gone. It's not quarterback. I'll give that hit. I'll hit this up coming up in the 7 o'clock hour though. So hey, continue to send me some high V game changers. Okay, maybe it was a draft pick. You're like, dude, that pick is a game changer. Game changer, man. Who is it? What is it? Send it on over. Also, your Mike's Star Market. Give me a sports take. Give me a sports opinion where you're like, am I wrong? Am I wrong for saying this or thinking this or believing this from a sports side of things? So send those on over. We'll get back to some more of those coming up a little bit later on. Wrap it up. We got about 2 minutes left here. Good morning, Morgan.
Did I hear you say that Kmart in Medford was the place where you did your hat shopping as a kid?
Where else would I go?
What do you remember? What was the best snag you got from the Kmart in Medford for a hat?
They did have an Orlando Magic hat that I was very fond of.
Okay, so that would be the winner.
Marlins hat I always remember getting from there.
Okay, it's not still there?
No.
Oh, sad days.
I think it's a Tractor Central now. Not
Okay.
Tractor Central, Tractor Supply.
Okay,
That's what
okay.
it is. Yeah.
So we have the Wednesday wild card action. You get to pick a number between 1 and 25, and we'll pull a question out of the deck, and you have to answer it for the class, all right?
We'll go 11.
If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? Little Dan standing in the aisles of Kmart, reaching up for that Orlando Magic hat, tap him on the shoulder and say, "Hey, guy, I got some advice for you. What are you gonna put? What are you gonna put on his plate?"
Stay young.
You say as you chug coffee and look defeated and complain
Yeah.
about your back hurting.
These I will go to the Andy Bernard quote from The Office. No, these are the good days.
Okay. Do you feel like you've already passed your own good days?
Yes.
That was a very definitive and early
Yes.
answer.
Yes.
I was seeing them fly
Now,
by.
you didn't have a worry in the world besides homework and whether you were going to pass the test at school. Now I wish I was back to that.
What grade would you put yourself in? Would you say was your prime? Like that you loved? What age? What era?
I'm in the minority, but like middle school, 5th grade, 7th or 8th. Those
You
three.
are in the minority. I don't think anybody likes middle school.
I think a big part of that was because 5th grade was our first year that we could start playing competitive sports in school.
Oh, so that was kind of a game changer for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, 8th
Yeah.
grade, 7th, 8th grade, I liked it. So.
But following that logic, if that was kind of the turning point for you, it did sort of launch you into your career. So little Dan's got to be pretty happy about that because this is the adult version of playing sports, really.
Well, back in the day, in the summers, I would spend a lot of time on my GeoCities website when the internet came out.
Yeah,
And
dial that up.
with my Orlando Magic fan website and analysis. Oh, yeah. A lot of copyright issues on that thing. So.
Yeah. Just ask Napster about copyright issues.
Oh, yeah.
We were playing fast and loose with laws when the
Oh,
early days of
yeah.
the internet hit.
Yep.
Pick a number between 1 and 25.
We'll go 23.
Okay.
Last one.
If you could visit any event in history, what would it be?
Any event in history?
I'll allow sports if you want to narrow it down to a sporting event.
I'd probably go to what is deemed as the greatest game ever played in football, the Giants and Colts championship game at the Polo Grounds.
Ooh, no ice bowl.
No, that too, but I wish Polo Grounds aren't around anymore. That's always a venue I wish I could have seen.
Okay.
A lot of sports history there.
Why was it the best game ever played?
Because the way it ended, Johnny Unitas with the sneak, Lombardi was the offensive coordinator
Okay.
for the Giants, Tom Landry, defensive coordinator for the Giants.
So you put yourself there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Not too bad.
All right. Thanks, Bargs.
Anytime.
1 hour in. We got 3 more to go. We'll be right back after these news updates. All right, second quarter, second hour, kicking off right now. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. If you are up and at it, if you missed the first hour, we're giving away, because it is a Wednesday. It is an Inside the Hobby Wednesday, giving away a Jackson Cheerio PSA graded 10 2022 Bowman Megabox card. All right, if you're watching the video stream, whoop, right there. All right. If you're not, you're listening on the radio or online. That's the sound of the card in the case, okay? Big thanks to our listener, Paul, for donating a lot of these cards and such. But usually we will do a trivia question and such, but I'm making it simple because, well, Jackson Cheerio, we got some good news. Hopefully he'll be back next week for the Brewers. But I think if you ask a lot of younger Brewers fans out there who's their favorite player is, Jackson Cheerio would be a very popular pick. So if you wanted to get entered to win this card, whether it's for yourself or maybe for your kiddo, just tell me who your favorite player was, any sport, when you were younger. And if you text in on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912, or you go on YouTube and look up Man Cave TV and you find our video stream and you comment on there, you're going to be entered. This is going to go on until 10 a.m. And whatever order that you texted in, I've assigned you a number. And then at the end, the website I have will randomly give me a number from 1 through whatever we end up with. So that's all you got to do is just tell me who your favorite player was. And we've got quite the list here. I like it. Any sport, okay? Any sport. It don't matter. First hour, we talked Brew Crew. We talked some baseball as the Brewers picking up a win against the Diamondbacks last night, 12-3. They're back at it tonight with Brandon Sproat on the mound. So we'll get back to some more baseball talk coming up a little bit later on. In about an hour from now, we'll catch up with with Fireside Productions, because dropping tomorrow is the new film, King of Coob. It's a documentary about Coob. I'm sure a lot of people in the Eau Claire, Chippewa Valley area have played that. But it's a new documentary by Steve and BJ from Fireside Productions. So quick chat with them before their movie drops tomorrow at the Pablo Center in Eau Claire. That's coming up at about 8 o'clock this morning. We'll do some high-V game changers. Again, that could be a play. That could be a move, like a front office move, or maybe you're like game changer with the Phillies, firing their manager, or Red Sox, same thing. Or maybe it was a draft pick. Make your picks. Make your picks. Send those to us. And plus, what is your Mike's Star Market Am I Wrong take? Your sports opinion, your sports thought, where you would just easily say, am I wrong for saying this? Am I wrong for thinking this? Let's kick off this hour talking a little football now that we are a few days removed from the NFL draft. Taking a look at your favorite team, your favorite team's depth chart, your favorite team's roster. Where is, and I'll open this up to non-Packers fans too, but what position group do you think is the biggest question mark you have for your team? And I'm kind of looking at it from a depth perspective, not necessarily maybe a talent, but depth perspective, where you would be like, okay, an injury away, I'm nervous. And for this, let's take quarterback off the table, because quarterback's probably pretty easy. So let's take quarterback off the table. What's a position group after the draft? And did it change? Did, kind of go back before the draft into where it's at now? Did that change where maybe you're like, at first you're like, oh, it's corner, but now that they drafted 2 corners, maybe you're like, okay, I'm good with that. So now my biggest question mark is this position group. I think for me, I'll throw a couple out here. I think for me, the one that I kind of keep coming back to, and again, we're taking quarterback off this, I kind of keep going back to running back. Josh Jacobs is there. Josh Jacobs is the bell cow. He did get banged up a little bit last year. There is no Emmanuel Wilson this year. Your primary backup is Chris Brooks. And then you've got Marshawn Lloyd. Now, Marshawn Lloyd has talent. I don't think there's anybody that's going to argue that. It's just, can the guy stay healthy? We don't know. we don't know if the hamstring is going to hold up. We don't know if his injuries are behind him. And, I mean, if, knock on wood, Josh Jacobs gets hurt where he would have to miss an extended amount of time, you're with Chris Brooks and Marshawn Lloyd. And hopefully hopefully Marshawn Lloyd can stay healthy, and hopefully Marshawn Lloyd could be this talented running back that I think a lot of people still maybe believe that he could be. That's maybe one that, I kind of keep coming back to, where depth reasons, not necessarily talent, but depth reasons, I'm like, I guess talent kind of relates to it though too. So because, they've got options, but it's just, is it the best options here? So running back kind of pops up to me. Obviously, I think tackle, maybe specifically left tackle. You got Darian Kennard, and I know they say that he could be kind of your backup left and right tackle and such, and he has played a lot of snaps in that. But, they obviously addressed interior with the Burton pick. I look at backup tackle. I'm a little bit concerned about, they only drafted the one offensive lineman. They only had 6 picks. So I'm looking at that. I think defensively, you look at corner, obviously. They did address that in a draft. They got some depth. It's just kind of an unknown at this point, though. But, you could still say it's probably corner. But I think for me, the top 2 are, right now at this point, running back and left tackle. You're one injury away, I think, from being, a big unknown and a big question mark. Because, okay, let's say Jordan Morgan gets hurt. Knock on wood. Does Zach Tom then go to left tackle and then Darian Kennard goes to right tackle? Do they just put Darian Kennard there? Because as of right now, your depth chart, if you look at it, it's Brant Banks as your backup left tackle. We don't know really anything about Brant Banks at this point in time. So and I think, do you play the odds? There's probably going to be a injury on the offensive line, and then you're going to see the shuffling around and such. So I'd like a little bit more depth there, and maybe they can find a veteran out there that's. Who was the guy from a few years ago that retired? That came out of retirement, then came back to retirement, came out of retirement. Was it Veldeher? Jared Veldeher. Maybe they can find somebody like that or something. But who else do you got out there? We've got. Let me scroll through because we got some more players here. We've got Jeff saying, offensive line is concerned for me with 2 players now in the starting role. The depth is a little concerning. So I would agree. Surveyor says, biggest concern is still the offensive line. A team that couldn't run block and barely pass block is returning everyone but the left tackle. They didn't get anyone in free agency and drafted only one strictly interior guy in the 5th round. Goody must really believe in those guys, but if I was Love, I would be very hesitant of a line that allowed me to be pressured over 40% of my dropbacks. So let's go through some of the players here. We got another Frank Thomas pick. Okay, Dennis saying that. Marty says favorite athlete was Michael Jordan. We had one of those big dishes for TV. I was able to watch all the games. Brandon's mom says Ben Sheets and Rockin' Robin, and JB in EC says Robin Yount. So, all right. Keep those picks coming. I'm going to add you all. And a Randy Moss pick came in too. So, if you're a first-time texter or maybe I don't have your name on there, make sure you put your name to it just in case you are a winner. So, if you do get texted back after 10 a.m., we got the Hetchman on YouTube saying Walter Payton was his favorite player as a kid. Doesn't matter what sport, just hit me up. All right, some good ones over there. So all across the board. I'm trying to think favorite player that wasn't on my favorite teams. I mean, Frank Thomas was. Baseball was kind of weird for me as a kid because, again, Brewers. I had a Brewers hat as a kid and Brewers stuff, but I was kind of a fan, but not really. So it's more of the player with Frank Thomas and that. But football, obviously, my favorite player that wasn't on the Packers was Neon Dion. Basketball, I mean, I was an Orlando Magic fan as a kid, so I mean, Shaq and Penny. Now I'm a Bucks fan, but as a kid growing up, it was Orlando Magic. I still have a little bit of a soft spot for the Orlando Magic. So I want them to. I want them to beat the Pistons in the playoffs here. I still got that soft spot. Big time Magic fan from the Shaq and Penny era all the way to the Tracy McGrady era. Oh, the what ifs with the Tim Duncan. Gosh, I remember that. No lie, as a kid in the summers when dial-up internet, so this was late 90s, early 2000s, when you could sign up for a Yahoo GeoCities account. I made my own Orlando Magic website, fan website with like news and my analysis and breakdowns and all that stuff. Orlando Magic. I also did a hunting and fishing one too. Gosh, that was like I'd get home from school. I'd either go shoot hoops or go to sports.yahoo.com, find what I missed during the day from a sports perspective. I still remember doing that and finding out. That's how I found out about the Ray Allen trade. Or then I'd work on my websites. Oh, GeoCities. Man. Because then you could have like these like weird awards and these counters. So I'd just like refresh every time and just like, oh, yeah. I have like 5 people that checked my website now. So Spuck says Dr. J, Paul Molitor, and James Lofton. I've got a bunch of Paul Molitor cards in here I got to give away that are in cases yet too, graded ones too. So I'm going to have to get to that here soon. But another texter, Levi says, as a young Brewers fan, Rob Deere. I like it. Keep them coming. All right, doesn't matter the sports. Doesn't matter the sport. Just keep those coming. Going down a little memory lane here for a little inside the hobby. So, all right. Tell you what, we got to take a quick break. We'll continue some more football talk, but doesn't have to be Packers. I know it's primarily Packers, but if you are a fan, I know we got some fans that are non-Packers fans. When you take a look at the draft or take a look at your roster now after the draft, what would you say is the biggest question mark, the biggest weakness for your team? I'd love to hear from other division teams too. Just to kind of get an insight from them. So if you're a Vikings fan, if you're Tom from across the pond and you're a Lions fan, what would you say after the draft now is maybe the biggest question mark or the biggest weakness with your roster? If you're a Bears fan like Hatch, what would you say is the biggest weakness position-wise from your team after the draft? No name for this texter, but says Ray Nitschke, Jim Brown, Fran Tarkenton, Larry Bird, and Ali. I like it. Mark H. Says favorite player not on my team as a kid was Mickey Mantle. That can be on your team too. I was just kind of curious with if you had who was just your favorite player as a kid? It could be on your favorite team. I was just kind of curious because some people I know that are chiming in favorite players that are not necessarily on their favorite team. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. We got more football talk, definitely more baseball talk coming. Don't forget to send me your Hy-Vee game changers and your Mike Star Markets. Am I wrong? We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. As the fields are coming back to life, it is time for spring sports in the Chippewa Valley. So whether you're stepping up to the plate or hitting the track or maybe getting back on the field for some weekend warrior tournaments, make sure that your body is ready to perform. And at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, their team specializes in keeping athletes of all ages healthy, strong, and in the game. From injury prevention to expert care and recovery, they've got you covered every single step of the season. So don't let pain keep you on the sidelines. Get back in the game with confidence. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better, play stronger, and staying in the game. I think I got to make an appointment with our good doc, Dr. Austin Crow. A little wing issue. Probably throwing all that BP and baseball practice and such. So I appreciate this text. We got a quick text here. It says, just wanted to say how much I love your show. Almost every day you bring up a topic that takes me back to my childhood and reminisce on the good times. Thank you for that. Sounds like you and I had a very similar childhood with similar favorite things. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for that text. That's awfully nice of you. So let's continue some football talk here this morning as we're putting a bow on the NFL draft. Let's talk with Joe here for a little bit. Joe, favorite pick from the draft?
Favorite pick from the draft? Well, you want to lean into that Brandon Cisse pick, and I didn't think he was going to be there at 52, but obviously he was. I think Jager Burton. I'm going to go with Jager Burton, the center out of Kentucky, with pick 153. I think it wasn't only a good pick from a value standpoint, but a positional standpoint. And it seems to me when I watch his tape that he's got a little T.J. Lang and Josh sitting in him. And by that I mean obviously good football players, but a little bit of a mean streak. And I think one of the criticisms, if you will, and again, I don't think it was that bad, but it seemed last year sometimes that maybe if Jordan Love were to get a cheap shot that maybe no one physically or no one came up and said, I've got your back type of thing. And so I like the nastiness. I like what Burton brings to the table in that regard. Overall, I liked this draft for Green Bay. And I think this goes back to an off season where you and I have been saying almost from day one that this off season isn't about let's get a lot of numbers. Let's get a lot of picks. It was, and when you look at what they did in free agency, I think Gutekunst was very intentional as far as looking at the 27 draft and saying, okay, we're going to have all these compensatory picks next year, and we've got a team that's pretty close to being a Super Bowl contender. Let's round out the edges. So overall, I liked the Packer draft. I thought they went for value. They went with positional need. But again, going back to it, I think my favorite pick has to be Jager Burton with pick 153.
Was there a pick that maybe surprised you the most, that they actually went that direction or selected that player?
Yeah, looking at who was on the board in the third round, Chris McClellan, the defensive tackle out of Missouri, was the pick. There were a couple of other guys, Dominique Orange being one of them from Iowa State, that I think I probably had graded a little bit higher. But when I look at the comparison and what McClellan brings to the table from a pass rush standpoint, he reminds me a little bit of Mike Daniels, really. When I look at the way he plays, he's a little bit bigger than Daniels was, of course, but he reminds me of that gap penetration that he brings to the table. So, yeah, that was probably the one. I didn't think Dennis Sutton was going to be there in round 4, pick 120. I had him going off the board in the second round, maybe early third round. So that pick surprised me in a good way. But, yeah, I would have to say that the McClellan pick, when it was made with other guys on the board, that took me back a bit. But then when I dove in and got a chance to really look at some of his tape, yeah, it was that the ability to not only stop the run, but to be disruptive in the pass game as well.
Receiver defer, do you think Trey Smack is going to be the rookie that contributes the most for the Packers, to at least at the beginning of the season?
It depends. You say if he can be a starter, or if he is that nickelback, I think he has a real opportunity.
The kicker, Trey Smack there, Joe.
Oh, I know. I thought you said which player has the.
Oh no,
greatest
no, I'm sorry.
opportunity.
I meant, do you? It's like receiver deferred. Do you think Trace Mack will be the rookie
Gotcha.
that with the most impact right away?
Yeah, I think so. And it surprised me with that pick because the Packers just gave $1 million bonus to McManus, and so that did surprise me. The fact that in a weak draft, I thought Gutekunst was smart to trade up the 2 sevens to get Smack. Look, the kid can drill it from long distance, and at this point, I think the job is his without question, unless he completely melts down in preseason and in training camp. But yeah, I think absolutely, I think he has the opportunity to make the biggest impact early on.
Looking at, I mean, they only came away with 6 picks in this draft, which, is surprising for Goody that came in for 8. I think a lot of us thought maybe they'd add a little bit more and such, but man, it sure seemed like he did go into this draft saying, okay, if there's a guy there that we really want, we're going to go out there and get this guy. So limited in what they could maybe build some depth on, but obviously it was corner. I don't know about you, Joe. Looking at these 2 corners, you mentioned Brandon a little bit, then you got Damani Jackson. To me, it seems like 2 things really stand out, and maybe you can make the case for this whole class: athleticism and physicality that a lot of these guys bring. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think you look at the RAS scores and the things that are out there as far as the athlete that they drafted, but I think Green Bay looked at it, though, and said, we want the athlete, but we want the player. And you look at Omani Jackson, and you're saying, that guy's a player. He's got good athleticism. The thing that stood out for me looking at Jackson, and even Cisse to a different to an extent, was the willingness to tackle. So when you talk about that physicality, and this goes back to my Jager Burton conversation, is having an edge to you. And I think Green Bay realized to finish off games that they need guys with an edge, and they need guys that are willing to be physical. And so, yeah, I think absolutely. You've got a very athletic class, but you have a highly physical class. So I think you nailed it. And even when you look at some of the undrafted free agents, I think when you look at the tape of a Kelly, the kid from UCF, or Josh Geske from Illinois, you look at those types of things, and you're saying, yeah, these guys are physical. They're willing to roll up their sleeves and get dirty a little bit. So I think Green Bay, when you look at, again, the totality of the offseason, I think they've got a lot of guys who bring a physical nature to the game and also bring an edge to the game. So, yeah, I think, again, Goody was very intentional with the types of players he was looking for.
With Danny Dennis Sutton being there in the 4th round and the Packers selecting them, I agree with you. I think maybe, they were surprised he was there at that pick. But with them selecting that, they have to make a decision by Friday about Lucas Van Ness. Does that alter the decision whether they pick up that 5th round option for Lucas Van Ness? Would you do the 5th round option for Lucas Van Ness or have him play out the rest of his rookie contract this year?
So the 5th-year option is always a big question mark, especially at this time if you've got a player like Van Ness. I think at this point Green Bay makes that move. I think they do go with the 5th-year option. That's such a bargaining chip, and I think Green Bay. You look at kind of the season he had last year with Van Ness, and he really, I think, improved last year, and he showed improvement. And there were some times he was injured last year, and so didn't get a chance to really see what he can do. But I think Green Bay exercises that 5th-year option, and I think it's a smart move to do so. I think the Dennis Sutton pick, to me, doesn't necessarily say that Van Ness is out the door. I think, again, you need to build as much depth, especially going back to kind of a base 3-4. I think you need to have as many of those types of football players as possible. So I think the Dennis Sutton move doesn't really correlate to anything as far as Van Ness goes. I think they exercise that 5th-year option.
So looking at kind of a question we've been throwing out this morning here, Joseph, has been, now that the draft is over with, what is the position group that maybe you're a little concerned about or maybe you have a question about in terms of the depth? And has it changed since the draft? When you look at the roster right now and you look at the depth, what's the position group that maybe you're a little bit nervous about, and has it changed from what it was before the draft?
I think it's running back.
Yeah.
When you look at that running back situation, and you've got, obviously Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd. We've been talking about him now for a couple of years since he was drafted. We just haven't been able to see him on the field. He has not been able to stay healthy. I like Chris Brooks. They picked up Jaden Nixon, undrafted free agent. That's where I get concerned. And again, if you're the Green Bay Packers and you're banking on Marshawn Lloyd being healthy, that's a tough bet. That's a really tough bet because history has said to us that you can't bank on that. So, when you look at it and you break it down positionally, I think Green Bay did a nice job at the cornerback position because going into the draft, I think that was a question mark. I think Green Bay has, I think they have some undrafted free agents in Barrett and Gesky that I think add depth or might have a chance to make this football team from an offensive line standpoint. And you look at linebackers, and you can make an argument there, and you look at some of the defensive line. But I think it goes back to me that I was really hoping Green Bay was going to be able during the draft to get that running back position taken care of. But if you're again banking on Marshawn Lloyd, that's a bet I would not take right now.
Looking at some of the veterans, I call it the next wave of free agency, the veteran free agency, where I think you're going to see a lot of guys maybe signing one-year deals and such. Any names out there that would intrigue you that you'd like Green Bay to kind of approach?
I still say it, and again, May 1st is a big day because you're free to sign any player now from a free agent standpoint starting on May 1st, and it doesn't muck with the compensatory pick formula for next year. So I still wouldn't mind. I'd look at where Diggs is at. We've talked about Calais Campbell. I think I'd look at him. And so those are a couple of players post-May 1 that I would look at, especially Diggs. You had a chance to see him up close last year when you brought him in. You know what you got. If you liked it, if you saw something there, I think you can bring him in on a one-year prove-it deal. But that would be the direction I would go if I were Goody. But again, it would not surprise me at all if he does make a move, given the fact that it doesn't mess with next year's compensatory pick formula. So yeah, I would say probably, maybe this weekend, maybe next week, there is a move made somewhere, and maybe it is that running back position. Maybe there's a veteran out there that's got Goody's eyes that he's going to go after. But I do see them making a move, and again, for me, I would not mind Diggs at all if they saw anything from him last year when he basically had a 2-week tryout, or this year with Green Bay.
So before the Packers made their pick, if we go back to Friday, the news that they did sign Jaden Reed to a 3-year extension, $50 million, about $20 million guaranteed. I didn't have that on my bingo card before the draft, but I mean, you look at it, and Jaden Reed's got some security in that, but it kind of reminds me of a very typical Packers extension for receivers, where it allows the player to play a couple more years with a really good quarterback and potentially hit free agency again for a big contract. But your thoughts on the move, and who do you think is next on that list to get done for Goody?
I thought it was a great move. I thought it was a very team-friendly move. And it was. I thought the timing was excellent as far as getting it done. And again, you look at what Jaden Reed was able to do in previous seasons, not necessarily last year because of the collarbone injury, but he's a playmaker. He's a playmaker. And I think Green Bay, you're seeing a shift that Green Bay is no longer going to say, hey, we're just going to have a lot of number two kind guys that we got to spread the ball around to. When you look at it right now, I just don't think there's any question. Your top three wide receivers are Watson, Reed, and Golden. There's just no question now that those are the guys you're going to go with. And so I thought it was a great move. I still see Tucker Kraft as that next move being made. I see Christian Watson still getting done. I don't think Christian Watson plays this season without a new deal, and I'm not saying he's going to sit out. I just think Green Bay has prioritized him, and you see the difference he makes when he's in the game. And I think you look at that Devontae Wyatt situation as well. But I would say right now my best bet is probably the Tucker Kraft deal gets done, especially when you look at that tight end room. And outside of Tucker Kraft, and, of course, Luke Musgrave has teased us over the last couple of seasons with his athleticism. Mm-hmm. But that tight end room is not good without Tucker Kraft. So I think Kraft gets done. I still think Watson gets done, and I still think Wyatt gets done as well.
I thought it was kind of interesting, too, that Goody did admit that they'd probably like to get another Y tight end and inline tight end and such. So I wonder if that's maybe something that he's kind of perusing the veteran market for.
Yeah, Mercedes Lewis is available.
He is.
And so, he wouldn't be, in my opinion, a bad pickup if you're looking for that inline tight end. And so, you're absolutely right. That might be an area where Green Bay says, you know what, let's go out and get a guy that knows the offense, that is reliable, that you know what you're going to get out of, and you bring him in, and he becomes that guy that almost that sixth offensive lineman with a wide tight end kind of body that you can put in line. And so, that would not surprise me at all. And I think we've seen it now with where Green Bay wants to go with this zone running attack and some of the things they're doing with Josh Jacobs. They want to get bigger and they want to get stronger. And I think bringing a guy like that in would not hurt Green Bay at all.
All right, before I let you go, Joseph, just kind of some final thoughts on this this Packers draft. I know you and I are kind of in the same boat. We don't like to put letter grades and stuff on that until maybe after a couple of years in that. But just maybe some final thoughts on what you thought Goody did or what the Packers did in this draft.
Yeah, I'll wrap the bow up on kind of the meat of the whole off season. I really like what Goody has done. I really do. I think philosophically, Green Bay is no longer the youngest team in the NFL. I think Goody did this offseason with an eye on two things. I think he did this offseason looking at it and saying, what kind of football team do I have today? And what does the 2027 situation look like? So I think he handled this offseason perfectly. And again, you and I are exactly in the same boat. Then cannot stand letter grades when you look at the draft 2 or 3 days after the draft. But I will say this, I think Green Bay got good value, and I think they addressed needs without reaching. And I think they did a good job of building some of the fringe and some of the depth in areas that they needed to. And again, I didn't think a kid like Cisse was going to be there. I think they got great value out of Dennis Sutton. And obviously they looked at their situation and said, we need competition across the board. I think Green Bay did a really nice job with building competition at some of these positional groups. So overall, off season, again, no grades, but I think Goody has done a really nice job of kind of filling in some of those missing puzzle pieces for what could be a Super Bowl contending football team. So very pleased with it, very happy with it. Again, on paper, it looks like they did a good job. The proof, though, is when it hits the field this fall. So we will see, but I'm very pleased with this offseason.
He's Joe DeGuano. Good stuff as always, sir. Appreciate the time chatting some green and gold. You enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll catch up with you again next week, okay?
All right, brother. Take care, man.
You got it. There you go. There's Joe hopping off here this morning. Hey, we got to take a quick break, but still continue to send us who is your favorite or who was your favorite player in any sports when you were younger, and I'll enter you for a chance to win a Jackson Cheerio PSA graded 10 card donated by one of our fine listeners, Paul. All right. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Hey, coming up May 15th through the 16th, it's Barbecue Fest at the Northern Wisconsin State Fairgrounds in Chippewa Falls. And I'm going to be over there on May 16th, Saturday, for a little bit with our good friends from Mike's Star Markets. Our good buddies, good friends, Mike's Star Market, going to be over there participating and such. So stop by, say hi, maybe try some samples and such. But you can head to nwsfa.com to check out the schedule of events for Barbecue Fest coming your way again May 15th through the 16th. There's a cornhole tournament. They've got vendors. They've got live music. And, of course, the backyard griller competition. So that's coming up here pretty darn quick. And can't wait to hang out for a little bit there. I think Hutz is going to join me, too, for with our friends at Mike's Star Markets. Again, that's going on at the Northern Wisconsin State Fairgrounds May 15th through the 16th. All right. First off, we got Carl from Colfax saying favorite player growing up was Robin Yount. He played the game the right way and always seemed to be enjoying everything about the game. Chad from Mondovi chiming in saying favorite player growing up was Greg Maddux. I use Greg Maddux all the time as an example for some of my 9 and 10-year-old pitchers trying to figure out pitching in that, focusing on the accuracy in that. All right, I need help. Well, I need help in a lot of ways, but I need your help right now. Okay, I saw this article. It's for like sports radio media and such, and it's an article written by somebody that says why radio stations need mascots, and they talk about and they use Bigfoot as an example for a radio station out west. All right, that's it. We need our own mascot, and of course, it's got to be Bigfoot in a sports jersey. So I need your help. Who could design it? And where do I go for this thing? I mean, we're doing this. If teams have mascots and now radio stations are having mascots, this show's having a mascot. And it's going to be Bigfoot in a sports jersey. And we need to make some stuffies or maybe make some Funko Pops or whatever it has to be. Let's get this thing done. Maybe some bobbleheads. I don't know. But we gotta get this thing. Coloring books for the kids, whatever. I need some help with this. Surveyor, where are you at? You gonna help me out? Surveyor, come on. You're supposed to help out with the car derby and wooden car derby, Pinewood Derby. Haven't heard about that in a while, so let's get this thing going. Let's figure this out. Maybe some cards, ball cards, sports cards in there. Got to come up with a name for our mascot too. All right, that's my next project. I got to figure this out. We do have to take another break before the top of the hour, but just coming up past 8 o'clock, we'll catch up with the crew from Fireside Productions to talk about their upcoming documentary on Coob, which will be premiering at the Pablo Center tomorrow. So we'll hear from them, and then we'll get back to some more Brewers talk as we get set for Game 2 tonight. Brandon Sproat is on the mound, so. We'll talk a little bit about that and get back to some more football talk. Send me your Mike Star Markets, Am I Wrong? Your Hy-Vee Game Changers, and we'll do a little Inside the Hobby coming your way too. So, but I do have to take one more break here in a couple of minutes. Again, if you're just joining, if you want a chance to win this Jackson Cheerio PSA graded 10 card, you just simply got to text in or comment on the video stream your favorite player when you were a kid. That's it. That's simple, and you're going to be entered. All right? That easy. Send it on in, and then you'll automatically be entered, and we'll randomly pick the number that you're assigned coming up after 10 o'clock. And if you get a text back from me saying you won and I need some info from you, then you're the winner. If you don't get a text back, got next week because we got a lot of cards from Paul. And speaking of Paul, we got a lot of Paul Molitor cards. Probably have to hit up a Paul Molitor card next week. So, all right. Let's take our final break for the second quarter before we hit halftime. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Hey, don't forget to sign up for the 6th Annual Casper Classic coming your way Friday, August 7th at Lake Hallie Golf Course. Just go to WYYRadio.com, SportsTalk1051.com. It's right on the homepage there. You'll see the icon that says Casper Classic. Click on that, and that'll take you to where you sign up. We've got those 3 tee times, 7:30 a.m., 10 a.m., and 1 p.m. Two-person team. $90 includes your round of golf, 9 holes, carts, some beverage tickets, your meal. Big thanks to Hy-Vee again for providing the meal. We've got Window World on as a sponsor. We've got Superior Auto Body, VFW Post 305, also under Myron Construction. So if you're interested in partnering with us to help support Backyard Dreams, please reach out, or maybe donating a prize or raffle prize or anything like that. All proceeds go to Backyard Dreams. So a big thanks to everybody who has signed up already. And every year we've sold out. So if you want to get your two-person team in now, better do it before it's too late. A couple more picks here. Shoot over a name, too, if you're a first-time texter or such. Pass along a name, so otherwise people might think I'm making some of these up. But we've got one texter saying Jeff Jenkins, favorite player. Another texter said Rob Deere. Chris from Altoona said Bill Goldberg. All right. Brett Favre, Charles Barkley, Ken Griffey Jr., Steve from Eau Claire said Robin Yount. I was 10 years old when he retired, and he was as loyal to the Brewers as any player they've ever had. So there's no right or wrong answer in this one to maybe win this card. So keep sending those on over to that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or again, you can go on the video stream and chime in over there with the Section 105 crew. So, all right, coming up just past 8 o'clock, we'll hear from Steve and BJ from Fireside Productions, talk about their documentary that's going to be coming your way about Coob. I know a lot of Eau Claire peeps, Chippewa Valley peeps, worldwide players across. Eau Claire is a big hub for that. So new documentary about that sport, that game, dropping tomorrow at the Pablo Center. So we'll chat with Steve and BJ coming up here in just a little bit. We got some numbers on the Jaden Reed contract, too, I want to hit up. Also, Mike Star Market, Am I Wrong? Hy-Vee Game Changer. So, and a little Inside the Hobby. We'll probably get to that part in the 9 o'clock hour. But keep those picks coming. Looking for your favorite player. I don't care what sport. Can be any sport. You want to give me all of them? Beautiful. You want to give me one? Beautiful. Send them on over, and I'll put your name in the running to win this 2022 Jackson Cheerio PSA graded 10 card, as we are doing on Wednesday for a little Inside the Hobby. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off, and we are at halftime, baby. Cruising on through. We have some news updates, and we'll be back to kick off the third quarter coming up in just a few minutes. All right, halftime is over with, and we are on to the third quarter. It tips off right now. Big thanks for making us a part of your start this morning, and a thanks. We got Brandon and Levi sending over a couple of if you hear a weird noise, I'm trying to screw this mic back on for whatever reason it's loose. But Levi and Brandon sending over a couple of ChatGPT mock-ups of Bigfoot for our mascot thing. I like them. The only thing is, probably got to stay away from actual team logos, just a little copyright stuff. So I like where your heads are going, though. I like it. I just got to find who makes these. Like, is it going to be a stuffy? Is it going to be a bobblehead? Is it going to be a Funko Pop? Is it just going to be a little mini figurine? I got to find somebody who can make these so we can hand these out to the peeps, to the people. That's the biggest obstacle. Anybody got any input, any insight? Let me know. All right. Hey, well, we got some Mike Star Markets, Am I Wrong, coming up. We got some Hy-Vee game changers, a little inside the hobby. Continue to send me your favorite player as a kid. Doesn't matter the sport. And I'm going to enter you to win, potentially win, this 2022 Jackson Cheerio PSA graded 10 card. If you're watching the video stream, it's what I'm holding up right now. Big thanks again to Paul for donating all these cards so that we could do giveaway every Wednesday for part of our Inside the Hobby. So text those on over, and you'll automatically be entered, or comment on the video stream. Tomorrow, we've got at the Pablo Center the release of a new documentary from Fireside Productions about Coob, the King of Coobs, or the King of Coob, and local documentary being made here. And I know a lot of people in the Chippewa Valley in the Eau Claire area play the game, and it's big in Eau Claire. I mean, you're talking about championships, world championships, national championships, and such. So Kings of Coob is dropping tomorrow. So caught up with the two peeps behind it, Steve and BJ from Fireside Productions. Caught up with them yesterday for a quick chat. So let's listen to that. Let's listen to that right now. All right, here we go. I guess right now we've got a couple of fine gentlemen in studio, Steve Dayton and BJ Hollers from Fireside Productions, right?
Yeah.
Got a great movie coming out here, and got a shout out because first off, Ty from Slab Factory gave you guys a shout out last week too.
I heard about that.
Yeah, he said he was going to make some Coob cards or something like that. So I don't
that'd
know.
be awesome.
Yeah,
I like that. It's a secret he hasn't shared with us yet.
Well, maybe I wasn't supposed to say anything.
You're the first to know, listening audience.
There you go. So, but hey, guys, thanks for stopping in and telling us about your latest projects.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, first of all, let's go back a little bit. What made you guys want to start Fireside Productions? Where was this? How did this start? Or who's the brainchild behind it all?
Sure. Well, there's no brainchild involved. We're two dummies who were sitting around a fire one night kind of pitching ideas. And, of course, Steve is sort of the film guy. He does all the media stuff, and I'm more of the writer-researcher guy. So we were just like, what is a cool local story that hasn't been covered before? And the first film, it's called When Rubber Hit the Road. It's about the tire plant closing and how our city bounced back. And when it won a Midwest Emmy, we couldn't believe it, and we thought we should keep at this. So Kings of Coob is our follow-up.
Yeah, definitely. So, you kind of, is that how it started? So, I mean, has that always been like a dream of you guys to do documentaries or video production, or was this something that's kind of a spur of the moment type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've always made movies on the side, and when BJ approached me about doing the Uniroyal documentary, I was like, yeah, this is something that we should do, and it's an important story. And then, we would still be by the fire and playing Coob in the backyard, and conversations just continued that way.
That's awesome, because I've always joked, like, one of these days it'll never happen. I would love to do like a sports documentary. I love sports documentaries.
Yes.
You know, like Cub Buck. I don't know if you know who, like Cub Buck, former, he's from Eau Claire, 1920, or even before that. Played for the Wisconsin Badger football team, was Curly Lambeau's first big free agent signing for the Packers.
Whoa.
And was the first ever head coach at University of Miami in Florida. And he's an Eau Claire native. And I'm like, not a lot of people that's like, oh, I want to do a documentary of that stuff. I'm watching the Hulk Hogan documentary.
Oh, I saw it. Yep.
So, but I love this type of stuff. So I'm going to enjoy this convo.
What you can't see is BJ's writing down that idea.
Yeah. Go on, Dan. But no, I mean, what's so cool about that idea, and that's what we try to do, is like tell the story in your backyard. Like the Hulk Hogan thing, a lot of people are in a good position to tell that story. But story about Coop, story about that guy, you got to kind of know the terrain and connect with the people, and that's what we try to do.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, did you guys, are you Coop players? Is that what kind of drew the interest there, or was it just because I know, worldwide it's big in Eau Claire?
Yeah, we had played kind of casually in the backyard, but I would drive by the soccer field while the Coop Championship was going on, and I'd see all these tents and all these people, and I was like, what is happening in there?
Yeah.
What is drawing people here? So that kind of sparked my curiosity.
So how long have you guys been working on this project?
We say 2 years. I think that's pretty close. Just under 2 years now. I remember, that first went to the pre-natties at the soccer park where the Nationals also held, and we didn't know anyone. This was 2025 early in
24.
June, 24 June, yeah. And I mean, just that trying to get the gumption to talk to these people and have them trust us. We got our big cameras out there, but over the course of these years, we've really connected with these people, and now we're part of that community, and it's just it's fun to be ingrained in these kind of microcosms in your own town.
What was maybe, since you guys just kind of started this off a couple of years ago, maybe the biggest surprise that you guys encountered while learning more about this sport?
I would say the passion of the players is that I would play casually, and I kind of understood it, but then I went to Eau Claire Coupe League for the first time, and I was like, oh, these people take it to a whole different level. I mean, there's jerseys, there's cheering, there's fans of Coupe that come out to play. They travel all over to play this game, and yeah, dedication.
One of the big debates within the community is Coupe a game or a sport? And we like to say it's a lifestyle. It really is. I mean, just watching the commitment. I mean, these people train like athletes train for any other sport. I mean, some people will regularly spend 6 hours a day in the weeks leading up to national throwing a baton at a Coupe, and that's just to get that perfect shot down. And so I just really admire that kind of skill level and the willingness to really try to be the best in the world at something.
I know, I think it was a couple of years ago, I'd interviewed one of the world champions, and he's like, I'm on my way right now to go practice. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, and they were going to go out there for hours to practice this. And I'm like, it kind of opened up my eyes. I'm like, man, this is bigger than what I even think it is.
And it can't be casual. I mean, we can certainly play in the backyard by the fire. You can hold a beer if you want to, but also you can be an elite athlete. The guy you're probably mentioning is Greg Jocumsen. He's a big part of the film.
Yep.
And so following his journey was really eye-opening for us.
Yeah, and it seems like it's a Wisconsin sport, too, the way, you kind of describe it, right? By the fire. Having a beer in the hand in the summer, it's like a Wisconsin sport.
We were born for this, yes.
Exactly. So, without giving away, first of all, we got the launch coming up, right? It's coming up here in just a couple days.
Yeah,
or
this
one
Thursday,
day.
April 30th. Yes, at the Pablo Center.
So, can anybody come watch? What's the how can somebody come watch this?
Yeah, tickets are $10. Everybody's welcome. We still have tickets available, so go to firesideproductionsllc.com to get your tickets, or Pablo Center. And we're just really excited.
Yeah, I've been hearing a little bit more about it here, especially I saw the Volume 1 piece. I was reading about that and such. So, I mean, not to get too far ahead, you guys already thinking about like a next project? Like what from your perspective, like when you were done with the Uniroyal project, do you always think about the next one, or do you kind of take like a little bit of a break and just does it naturally come? How does that process work for you guys?
It does usually naturally come. And I remember like a week after when Rubber Hit the Road premiered, we sat down and we just started talking, and it was right around that time where Coupe started to, they're starting to talk about the tournament, and we're like, what about Coupe? And the next week we were going to Eau Claire Coupe League meeting people. It was just like in a split second we were back at it. And for this one,
we're eyeing some projects. In fact, we can't guarantee, but we may show a very early sneak preview of just a teaser of what we're thinking about at the premiere on Thursday night. Ooh. So we just want to see if there's audience interest, if we can find the ways to make it happen. But again, it's a kind of sports related story about Eau Claire, about the people who live here, and that is so important to us. Again, like, you can read about Hulk Hogan anywhere. You can check out that story anywhere. But these are our people. And so having people show up and support local filmmakers in this way is really important.
Heck yeah. There's so many, just because it's a sports thing. I mean, I mentioned the Cub Buck one. I mean, Guster Ray at Chippewa Falls. You look at – so my son is named Hudson. I actually named him after a Packers player from the 40s, Don Hudson. So cool. And little known fact is that Don Hudson's first game was at the Northern Wisconsin State Fairgrounds when the Packers played the Chippewa Marines, and Johnny Blood McNally, a Hall of Famer, was playing with Chippewa to try to get back at the Packers. It's stories like that. It's like the local stuff that is just I appreciate what you guys do telling those stories, because not a lot of people tell stories like that and keep that local history alive that way.
Hearing you talk about it, I mean, like, we are cut from the same cloth. You know, I'm sure you've probably watched the whole ESPN 30 for 30 series, but all of those, just like what we're doing, it's about the people. Like, the sport is very much a part of it, but the personalities, the human interest. I mean, we want our audiences to leave feeling like they more fully understand the human heart. And the sport is the vehicle that gets us there.
And I just think it would be cool to like know somebody who's maybe great grandpa played on that team, you know, or played, you know, and finding that local side of it too is so cool. Yes. And every time I go to the fair now I look, I'm like, dang, the Packers played there, you know, almost 100 years ago. Yeah. You start to think about that stuff a little bit too. So again, that's really, so looking back at your upcoming one with Coop here too. You know, I mentioned, you know, what was the biggest surprise for you guys and such. Did it make you almost like become more of a fan of the activity or of the game or of the sports? You know, is that something? Because I feel like a lot of times when people maybe kind of go into a sport they don't know a whole lot about, and they're like, man, I've become more of a fan. Did it make you want to play more? Did it make you want to become a better Coop player? You know?
I can say that I'm following some of the players now, and I'm watching certain teams. I'm watching live Coob, which I never, if you pitch me that you're going to sit down and watch live, like
streaming Coob.
Yeah, streaming Coob. Yeah. I would say no, thank you. But I'm like, you're super invested in the people. You're super invested in how they're doing. And I love it.
Nice. Can you give us a little bit of a tease on maybe one favorite part of your film?
Gosh, well, there's a couple scenes, and I think I won't get into the full specifics, but it gets us choked up every time. We've probably watched this thing at least 100 times, you know, and there are a couple moments where like we just happen to be at the right place at the right moment. It was everything's unscripted with a documentary, but this was, we didn't have any idea this scene was going to occur. We had no idea which teams would make the cage, which teams would win. We had to pick 4 teams and pray on every lucky star we had that these were the teams that were going to make it to the final matches. And sure enough, we got really lucky in that regard. But it wasn't just that. It was a moment having to do with a loss where you see someone grapple with that most difficult moment and you see the support from someone behind him, and it just gives me chills. I can't wait to share that moment.
That's awesome. You have the same one?
Oh my goodness, yeah. But it's just the connection of the people of playing the game. Like, that's what speaks to me time and time again, is it's just how they bond throughout the movie. And my hope is that when you go in, you're like, I don't even know what Coob is. And then you become so invested in them and with their journey that by the end, you're also crying with us.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. So before I let you guys go, I want to ask you, what do you envision going forward for Fireside Productions? Do you have a long-term goal? Is it kind of what you're doing now? I mean, do you want to be big, bigger? Yeah. Like what do you foresee going forward now with Fireside Productions?
Dan, do you have some investors that you need to access to?
Because we're in. We're open. We're standing on business. So. I mean, that's the $1 million question. I mean, I'll just speak for myself and say I love this. I'm kind of a writer by trade. I write nonfiction books when I'm not teaching at the university, but there's something about collaborating with someone who can do a skill that you can't do. Yeah. Then you can do a thing that can help that guy out, and it's just so much more fun. We often joke, we feel like kind of factory workers. We're like, I do one shift, he does the next shift, and then you wake up and there in your email is a new cut, and it's just so exciting. So, I mean, I think that we have some exciting things ahead of us. I think so much depends on funding and support and grants and all these things, but if the world allows us to tell the stories here in Eau Claire, we want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I can't stop doing it. My day job is in video production and storytelling, and then I get done and I want to continue doing it. So I just love it, and we're having so much fun, and just the connections that we've made, I just want to continue doing that.
Do you still want to focus? I know on your website you said like the Midwest and that. Is that still kind of the area you guys really want to focus on?
Well, it sure is convenient.
Well, that's true, yeah.
We joke that we're both within walking distance of the Coop National Championship pitch, and so that was half the reason we picked the topic, But the truth is, I think there's something about underrepresented stories, something about being considered flyover country here in the Midwest that really makes me want to have this chip on my shoulder kind of removed and tell people, no, there's real stuff. We are real people. We're doing great things, and I want the world to know it.
Now, because I did too see on your website pre-order for like DVDs and that too, or even order DVDs right now too?
Yep, we're taking pre-orders on DVDs, but more excitingly, we're also touring this movie around. So we'll be doing more screenings in Eau Claire.
Nice.
And La Crosse and Minnesota. We have our big premiere, and we're looking to... We've already booked a couple of shows across the country too, virtually. So
Oregon, Massachusetts. So there's a lot of cool Coop communities out there, and also Swedish communities. And because of the Swedish lawn game part of it, I mean, they're interested. And so we are so hopeful that we have a new streaming service we've just partnered with as of yesterday that we can kind of get these across the world. It's huge in Europe, of course. So we want to get these streaming parties in every country that'll have us.
We got to get you flying across the country or, into Europe and that too, right? So
where are your investors at?
Yeah. If you're listening right now, reach out to them, right?
Yes,
exactly.
You got some miles saved up, whatever it takes.
Exactly. We'll start a GoFundMe, something like that. So, Steve and BJ, again, thanks for hanging out with us for a while. This has been awesome. And again, one more plug. If anybody wants to come watch it at the Pablo Center, what's the best way to get tickets? When should they show up?
It's April 30th at Pablo. It starts at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6. We're going to have Q&A. We're going to have live Cube demos right before. We have a huge backdrop. Get your photo taken. It's going to be a real red carpet kind of affair.
Nice.
We're really excited about it. So get your tickets at Fireside Productions, our website, or through Pablo Center. $10. You can't beat it with a stick. And we just want to fill that thing.
That's awesome. Hopefully I didn't ruin the surprise either. So if you're listening, I'm sorry, buddy. But now the pressure's on him, though, too, to do this.
He's actually helping us sell our DVDs that night, so he'll be cool with it. Don't worry.
Perfect. Guys, best of luck, and thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with us for a while.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for having us.
All right, again, a big thanks to the guys for hanging out. And again, that premiere tomorrow night at the Pablo Center. For more information, you can just head to firesideproductionsllc.com. We'll take a quick break, and we'll get back to some more baseball talk, a little more football talk, and some more of your messages coming up after these really quick words. Sometimes accidents happen, but getting your vehicle back to normal does not have to be stressful. And at Superior Auto Body, they specialize in getting your vehicle looking right again after dents, dings, or collisions. And the best part is that they handle the insurance process for you, working directly with your provider to make things simple and hassle-free. No runaround, no confusion, just quality work and a team that's got your back every single step of the way. So get your vehicle back on the road with confidence. That's Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, where the job gets done right. Continue to text us your favorite athletes from when you were a youngster for your chance to win this 2022 Jackson Cheerio PSA graded 10 card, again donated by our friend Paul for every Wednesday giveaway. You can text it to us at 715-830-1912 or join in on the Section 105 video chats. We've had a few people chime in with their picks there too. So we'll keep that going up until shortly after 10 o'clock. So, oh, excuse me. Choking up there. So we've got, oh man, Luke.
Are you verklempt?
Yeah.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, okay. I got to get some water, I think.
Yeah,
so,
something.
Yeah. How would you pretty pumped with your Wild last night? One win away from taking down the evil empire that is the Dallas Stars.
All the teams to play to finally advance past the first round for the first time in 11 years. Yeah, like that was they fairly well snuffed out Dallas last night. And I got to find the statistic. I'll bring it up here as I talk. But yeah, they haven't had a 3-2 series, or they haven't led a series with 3 wins, because they did have a 7-game series against Vegas in that run, since 2015, since they last won a series. And you're not going to hang a banner to say, and if they end up losing the series, we led in 2026. But they've gotten somewhere, even if they do end up losing for the first time in that long of a time. So here's the stat from Michael Russo from The Athletic. Dallas they didn't have a 5-on-5 goal. The power play differential between these two teams has been stark. Like the Wild have been horrible till last night. Dallas has been excellent on power play. But no full strength goals for Dallas last night. They've been outscored 14-4 at even strength in the series, 11-3 5-on-5. No 5-on-5 goals in 207 plus minutes. I mean, the Wild are clamping down a fair amount here. Will that be enough for 2 more games? We'll see. The Wild got a couple of their injured players back. That helps. As long as Jamie Benn doesn't single-handedly decapitate 5 other Wild and maybe get a 2-minute minor as a result of his penalties. Anyone who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about. There are probably a few Wild fans that just threw up in the mention of Jamie Benn. I think they can legit advance. And after that, who knows? You know the way the Stanley Cup playoffs go. I mean, there's a certain element, like this reminds me a lot of the Twins a few years ago. Anytime you have a team that has to get over a certain threshold, you almost just want to get past that threshold, and it's like, yay, we won the championship. It's a victory in and of itself. If they get A, a first-round series win, and B, doing it by beating the former North Stars in the process, and it's not entirely immaterial what happens against Colorado, because that's going to be a tough one as well, way tougher, but it would be an accomplishment. At least it would make everything that they did this year, getting Quinn Hughes, et cetera, at least worth something. If they end up not getting past Dallas, there's a sense of what more can you do? Like, do you need to fundamentally shake up the organization? That's all for later, obviously. So we'll see. But yeah, it felt pretty good last night. And I guess the rule with Matt Boldy is if you call off a goal of his, he's a lock to get another one. This happened, twice now or something? So yeah, I feel decent, but let's say excessively cautious optimism going into Thursday. Between that and the Timberwolves potentially winning this series, both could close out, and you just know that's not going to happen. But maybe it will. We'll see. We'll see.
Right. Basketball-wise, your Timberwolves are 1 win away. No Anthony Edwards yet for a while, but no Dante DiVincenzo here as well. But we'll see if they can move on and such. But one win away from that.
Yeah,
so.
see, now that's the one where when those injuries happened, I guess maybe I wasn't as bummed out as a lot of fans because, and again, you're in the playoffs because you never know what's going to happen. See the Bucks right now and the Eastern Conference. And, to change this a little bit, has the thought crossed your mind of if the Bucks had made the playoffs, what could they be doing right now given the thrown up in the air nature of the Eastern Conference? And maybe they could be doing a bit of a run here?
No, because I still think Orlando is better than Milwaukee. So
And it would have ended in the play-in probably anyway.
yeah. Yep.
But you at least see where anyone could see where that potentially could happen. So, yes, anything could happen. But realistically, the path for the Timberwolves, especially because of the bracketing, but it's still out there, is daunting would be a nice way of putting it. San Antonio and Oklahoma City before the NBA Finals, that's honestly a tougher spot than whomever they would play out of the East. Not that they would be favored necessarily against any team coming out of the East, but oh my gosh, that's a nightmare. So when Edwards and DiVincenzo went down in the same game, I'm like, well, I knew how this was probably going to end against San Antonio anyway. And I know the Spurs hadn't clinched the series yet, but figured that was probably going to happen. It did. So if they get past Denver, cool. It probably ends after that. This is a team that probably needs more alteration to win an NBA Finals anyway. The way as currently constructed, the Timberwolves, they're not going to beat the best in the NBA right now. I'm sure Tim Connolly's going to do a lot of work this offseason again. There'll probably be some notable players that go. So it was a bummer. DiVincenzo is going to be out obviously a long time. At least Ant's not going to be out a long time. I know he could be back if they go on some big playoff run. But yeah, it's kind of like, well, I guess this is just going to end a little faster than usual. It's probably how I look at it.
Right. Yeah. All right. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with some more baseball talk coming up after these quick words. With spring here in the Chippewa Valley, it's time to get back outside and enjoy the season. And whether you're heading to the range or getting ready for some hunting season, spring turkey season, or you're just gearing up for some time in the great outdoors, Tilda Gun is your local stop for selection, service, and expertise. They offer a wide range of firearms and accessories along with a knowledgeable staff who can help you find exactly what fits your needs. No pressure, just straight up answers and real guidance. It's about making sure that you're comfortable, confident, and ready for your next outing. Spring is a season to get prepared, to get organized, and to get outside. And Tilda Gun is here to help you do just that. So stop on in and see what they've got in stock and why so many in the Chippewa Valley trust them year after year. All right, so we've got Brewers back at it tonight, taking on the Diamondbacks. 6:40 first pitch. Brandon Sproat is on the mound for the Brew Crew. Right now in the NL Central, every team's got a winning record. The AL Central is the complete opposite, where the best team is at 500, and that is the Detroit Tigers right now at 15-15. So two completely different stories when it comes to the Central teams at this point. So it's anybody's ball game in each division, right?
Well, except the Twins, no, they're done.
They're done already. You're ready to close them. Hey,
done.
They got a
there's
+1 run differential. That's second best in their division.
There's that. I think they had 1 or 2 games where they scored a lot of runs. Remember I was saying a few weeks ago, it was with every season, you don't know if a team is surprisingly good or bad. Is it because they had their slump or their hot streak just to start the season? Because that happens a lot. I'm guessing in the Twins' case, it was that they had their hot streak right near the start of the season. Now, they also are probably having their really bad slump right now, too. I don't think they're going to – because if they went 2-10, if you extrapolate that out over their last 12 games, if you extrapolate that for the rest of the season, if I'm doing my math right, that's a sub-200 winning percentage, which would be the worst of all time. They're not going to play that bad, but I think they're a lot closer to what we've seen than what they were. They're not going to win that division unless everything breaks just right. But, I guess they're close enough. Are you the Brewers still got a pretty decent shot, even with Cincinnati being in first. Again, it's way too early. So I know the Brewers have had a rougher offense of late, but there's extenuating.
There's the optimistic that those guys are coming back.
That's the thing, extenuating circumstances. So whereas I'm sure Twins fans are already yeah, fine. Mm-hmm. I would hope no Brewers fans are already giving up on the season. There's way too much time left to go.
Right. Yeah. So I know Jackson Chirio, Andrew Vaughn. The timeline was May 4th. It was announced yesterday, but with the Nashville Sounds game being postponed, I don't know if that would affect it or not. But some point next week, it sure seems like those two guys are going to be back on the ball club.
Which NL Central team is the biggest pretender right now? You're not worried about them having an above 500 record and being in the way of the Brewers?
I'll probably regret saying this, but I'll say Cardinals.
That's what I was thinking too.
Just yeah,
because I could make a case for the other three teams being really good. Mm-hmm. St. Louis, there was. I'm sorry, and we're regretting saying that because it's the St. Louis Cardinals, but it's totally rep. Mm-hmm. It's not the talent necessarily on that team. They'll fade off. I feel. I could say that with a little more remove, mm-hmm. but I think you'll be okay, St. Louis.
I think the Pirates have a good enough offense to compete. Obviously, when you've got a guy like Paul Skeens, that helps out too. Reds, I think people forget they were a playoff team last year. So, and Ellie De La Cruz is playing really well this year, and Stewart.
Yeah, ironically, they're I think they underperformed a bit last year. They're probably overperforming a bit this year, so it all evens out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Cubs are doing what I think a lot of people finally expected them to do, at least in the early goings of this. So
fair enough. And they got plenty of talent on that team, and they have a good manager. Let's acknowledge it. So okay, fine.
Yeah. Well, sometimes he's.
Sometimes, as Cubs fans, they probably think he's insert worst Cubs manager of all time, and he's a little worse than that. But hey, Cubs fans will be Cubs fans. Sorry, but it's true.
Right. So, but yeah, I just. Looking at where things are at right now across Major League Baseball, I know there was the MLB.com had one of their surveys of executives and such, and NL Central was definitely one of the bigger surprises for a lot of these teams too. But baseball, at least, maybe taking a page out of the hockey NHL world by firing some managers early on in the season. The Phillies one's weird that Dombrowski acknowledged that he did offer it to Alex Cora while Phillies still had their manager. I don't know if you heard that, but
it's weird.
And then Cora said no. So they're going to Don Mattingly as the interim manager who was already on staff and such. But it was like, that was just kind of a weird to admit it right away, too. It's like,
I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
Jason Stark had a story. It was, and I did not read it, but it's free, so anyone can if they don't have an athletic subscription. Is this more similar to the 2012 or 2022 Phillies? The 12 ones that was kind of the end of that era of the Phillies, from the late aughts into the early teens. The 2022 situation, that comp is the thing that burst them up to being good. Which one is it closer to? And no, I did not read the scenario, but it does feel more 2012-ish in this regard. That you have a lot of older players, expensive players, some dramatic potential behind the scenes. I know there's some really good young ones coming up too, but the Harper thing was weird in the offseason. He and Thompson got along pretty well, so what's going to happen now? Dombrowski's still around. They didn't get along, he and Harper. I don't entirely know, but again, back to what I was saying earlier of early season does not necessarily indicate what you're going to see for the entirety of the season, because we got 5 more months of regular season baseball to play. So I don't think Boston, the Mets, and Philadelphia all are going to be among the 3 worst teams in baseball this year. It's very possible one of them will. Maybe it is Philadelphia this year, but I don't think Philadelphia is going to vault back up to the top of the National League. I don't see them winning the World Series now, and I know it was going to be tough given all the other talent around, but at this point, unless Mattingly turns out to be perfection and other younger guys coming up are that good, no. I think Philly's got a cap now, and I wonder if they're going to go through another regeneration over the next few years. That it becomes more of a Mets, Braves, maybe Nationals if James Wood keeps going on his tear. I'm getting ahead of the Nats. Like, I don't think they're going to be suddenly division winners next year, but you see they're going on an upswing. You see where the path is there. I think Philly is on a definitive downswing right now. And I don't know that I would say that about too many other teams in the National League. Maybe San Francisco, maybe, but I think Philly had its peak.
Who do you have more confidence in, though, to turn it around? Is it the Mets or Phillies?
The Mets, I think, have overall more talent. They've had injuries. I want to see more of what Juan Soto can do long term. Of course, I'm going to pay a little more attention because he's on my fantasy team, so I'm going to pay by definition. But I think overall that team has more to it. I think they can gel a little better. It's part of the reason why I picked them to go to the World Series this year. At some point, it's going to work. Whereas in Philadelphia's case, I think there's something a little off. I mean, I think both teams have chemistry off. But the Mets are recoverable, whereas I wonder if Philadelphia, there's something fundamentally. We way overuse the word toxic. Way overuse it in our society nowadays. So if we're gonna, I'll apply it in the most innocuous way possible. There's something toxic in that clubhouse arrangement, something there. Something that is going to put a cap on their season, whether that's not making the playoffs, whether that's not getting to the World Series, that I don't think it exists with the Mets right now. I know there are issues with Lindor and but maybe that I think that gets ameliorated at some point.
Yeah. All right. So we've got to wrap it up here. So, we'll not wrap it up here. We got to take a quick break. I'm already off.
It's going to shut off the radio for like an hour?
Yeah,
it's
might
like,
as well.
whatever.
I'm already halfway through the week and that too. So, but really quick before I let you go, you like your Vikings draft?
Enough.
Okay.
Like I'd call it, I'm whelmed by it. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not underwhelmed. I'm whelmed. Judd Zalgad had a good point from Score North. He has a Substack. Said this is a long-term draft by Rob Brzezinski, who may not be making the draft. Like, he was a fill-in, basically. He could be the GM. But this is with a mind towards getting the cap in order, which is not in good shape right now, and building them up for longer-term success. They're not in a win-now mode. Outside of Justin Jefferson, fair enough on that, but otherwise they're really not in a win-now mode. So they made draft picks towards shoring up the team, doing a competitive rebuild, one of those things. and being in position to compete more in 27 and especially 28, 29 and beyond. So, like, nothing to write home about. And the one thing is, I'm really worried about Caleb Burns' foot.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. Like, I get the upside, and it's great upside, but yeah.
I don't think you're the only Vikings fan that's worried about that either. So.
Nope.
All right, we got to take our final break for the third hour, but we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Looking to do a little updating in your home? Maybe start from the floor on up, and that's where you probably have that space in your home, or maybe it's your office building, and you're in charge of that, where you got to do some updating with like the carpets, or maybe you want to update to some luxury vinyl planks. That's where Carpet City Flooring Center can come on in. and help you out. So if you're not quite sure what style would look the best, they've helped me out with that. If you're not sure what would work the best within your budget, they can help work with you on that as well. The entire team at Carpet City Flooring Center is so fantastic to work with, whether it's Ben, whether it's Aaron, whether it's Jason, or whoever you may run into over there. They're awesome to work with. Go check them out. You can visit, first of all, you can visit carpetcitywi.com if you'd like, or I suggest stopping by their store, 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. So if it's time to do some updating and maybe some upgrading with your floor, go over to Carpet City Flooring Center, Wisconsin's premier flooring store. My game changer of the week. I'm going to go pretty simple on this one. My Hy-Vee game changer of the week. Actually, you know what? I'll go a couple of them, and they're pretty simple. One, I'm going to start off with the Phillies and the Red Sox firing their managers, Alex Cora and manager Thompson and such. Those are game changers in the fact that they're hoping it's going to be a game changer, that they can flip around their seasons, that they made those moves earlier on in this season to hopefully kind of change their fortunes. Now, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, Don Mattingly has been a manager before, a long-time baseball guy, and they did pick up a win last night and such, but that kind of by default is a game changer in itself. So, also, you've got my other game changer. I mean, you look at the draft, and there's a ton of game changers there. I mean, you could say a Raiders fan might say the game changer is they've got their quarterback of the future with Mendoza. But if I had to narrow it down, and my favorites, I think my favorite I keep going back and forth between a few of them. I think the biggest game changer for me, if I'm looking straight up at first round picks, I might go with the Giants and the Reese pick. I mean, they're loaded up with pass rushers and such, and I might go. I think that's a game changer for the Giants. You bring in Harbaugh, you have a young quarterback. Malik Neighbors is there. You give him some offensive line help for Jackson Dart, and then you add more to your defense and such. If I'm staying with just a first round, kind of the first round picks, heck, even their second round with Colton Hood, and then they get a corner over there too. I'm going to go with the Giants, purposely avoiding Green Bay and not being the homer pick. So, but those are my Hy-Vee game changers for the week. Coming up next hour, we'll do some Mike Star Market Am I Wrongs. Give me your bold sports take or your sports opinion where you'd say, hey, am I wrong for saying this or thinking this? We'll do a little Inside the Hobby. If you're just joining us, we are giving away. It's the final hour for your chance to do so. All you got to do is text me, who was your favorite athlete as a kid? Could be any sport. And then you're going to be in the running for a 2022 Jackson Cheerio Bowman Mega Box Crumb Card, PSA graded 10. That's all you got to do. Just text it to me on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or join in on the video chat and send those on over. So we've got Zach that said Gilbert Brown. I think I had like multiple autographs of Gilbert Brown. I remember one time I ran into him at the Oakwood Mall. But how about Chad Patrick last night with some overall solid pitching? He's had a moment that got away from him, but he was able to lock in and finish strong. Yeah, the walks became an issue with him in that final inning, but able to get out of it, preserving the lead and such. And then the weird thing, did you hear about this with the second inning with Chad Patrick where he kind of like lost his vision there for a hot second? Kind of weird. Kind of scary too. If you think, I mean, put yourself in that position. It's like, hey. You know, what about what's going on with my eyesight here? You know, that's got to be kind of a freaky situation. So, but yeah, Chad Patrick, I blame my kid because he did say Chad Patrick was going with the no. And then, yeah, we know what happened. But overall, he's been solid this year. I think you look at a lot of the starters in the first, little over a month of the season for the Brewers here. For a lot of these starters, Brandon Sproat started off slow, but now he's pitched well. Miz up there in strikeouts. Chad Patrick has been solid. Harrison has been really good. Brandon Woodruff's been solid. I think the biggest part, hopefully they stay healthy. But again, their depth at the starting pitching spot is pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Keep your thoughts coming, though, okay? Hit me up. I want to hear from you. Coming up in the final hour, we'll maybe get back to a little bit more baseball talk with the Brewers taking on the Diamondbacks tonight. Plus, Packers fans, if you have not chimed in on this yet, the position group. All right, the position group. That's after the draft now. You've had some time to think about it. You've had some time to kind of let it marinate, if you will. What is the position group where you are looking at the Packers, or if you got a different favorite team, that's fine too, where you're like, okay, this is my biggest question mark, or this is my biggest concern now? And is it different than what it was at the beginning of the season or before the draft? So maybe you were before the draft like, hey, my biggest question mark is the cornerback group. Packers drafted a couple. Maybe that takes away some of that concern, and now it's something else. What is the position group that you have the most concern about right now that the draft is over with? Mine was, I keep going back to running back, and I'm looking at it more from a depth perspective. Because outside of Josh Jacobs, it's a lot of unknowns, and it's strictly centered around Marshawn Lloyd. Can the man stay healthy? Can the man stay healthy? All right, got a minute left till the shot clock cuts me off, so we'll kick off the next hour with a little Mike Star Market. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? All right. You can send those on over. Then we'll get to a little inside the hobby. So we'll talk a little bit about the latest and greatest and the collection world and such. So that'll be coming your way here in just a little bit. But again, shot clock's going to cut us off. So after our news updates, we'll maybe get back to some more texts, see if anybody else is chiming in on who their favorite athlete was as a kiddo. Robin Yount. Robin Yount has been a very popular one. Paul Molitor has been a very popular one. Might have to do the Paul Molitor card giveaway for next week. So got a few of those in a case there too. So, all right, quick break, and we'll be right back after these news updates. Final quarter kicking off right now. What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. We are making the turn on this week. Thanks for hanging out with us and participating, hitting us up with some texts and some comments on the video stream. We've got a couple of oh, hey, how about this? So we've got U.S. National Coupe Championship saying thanks, Dan, for interviewing BJ and BJ and the boys about the Kings of Coupe. We all appreciate it so much. Hope to see you there. Thanks for that. That was a great. Oh, those guys were awesome. They were awesome and such. So thanks for tuning in and listening to this. Zach said, I think I mentioned this the other day, but I still think running back as well because there's a lot of unknowns with Lloyd. Brent said, favorite athlete as a kid, hands down, Michael Jordan. I used to pay attention to the NBA so much more than I do now. Easier on the eyes to watch when they aren't traveling. I was a huge NBA fan as a kid too. How I am with the Packers and such, that was me with Orlando and the NBA. NBA on NBC as a kid, NBA on TNT. I mean, big time NBA. I told the story a little bit earlier, but for crying out loud, in the summers when out of school and that, I had a GeoCities website on the Orlando Magic giving opinions and thoughts, and I was like 12 years old, 11 years, 10 or something like that. Probably not the smartest thing to do, but that's kind of like, hey, this is what I love to do in that. But, oh, yeah, huge into the NBA. Huge when I was a kid. And not so much anymore. And back then I was like, I didn't even like college, but I'd rather watch NBA, and that's definitely switched. But although it's a little bit different now, too, maybe a little even in that. But nonetheless, keep those picks coming, all right? So your favorite athletes, send them on over, 715-830-1912. Or, again, you could comment on the chat. If you just make your pick, you're automatically going to be entered. So let's do a little Mike Star Market, Am I Wrong? So it sounds like the NCAA, speaking of college basketball, that the tournament is going to expand to 76 teams. Am I wrong for saying why? I mean, I get it. It's going to more money, more teams are going to be able to get in it and that and that and that and that. But am I wrong for saying nobody that comes in from 69 to 76 is going to even make the Final Four? I just, at some point, and am I wrong again? As soon as we get to 76, the debate is going to be, let's expand it more, because then you're going to get the talking heads that are going to sit there and say, well, this team deserved to be in and that team deserved to be in over the 76th team. It is going to continue. And I know that's probably not the biggest reason why they're doing this. It's probably not the biggest reason they're doing it. They're doing it. It's a moneymaker, getting more teams. And that is the biggest thing. If the biggest reason is because, okay, this allows us to get more teams that deserve to be in, just stop. Because that argument will always continue. I still think am I wrong for thinking eventually we're going to see maybe 100 teams in this thing in our lifetimes? I think it's just going to continue to expand and expand and expand. Maybe not, I shouldn't say that during my lifetime, but maybe some younger people's lifetimes. I don't know. I know I'm probably sounding like an old man in the front yard, waving his fist and all that, but and I like college basketball. I love March Madness. It's one of my favorite times of the calendar, of the sports calendar, but when can we just say enough's enough? This actually would have been a better enough is enough for tomorrow, but I don't know. But anyways, speaking of hoops, I saw this during the break. The everlasting debates of LeBron and MJ. This is a piece up on ESPN. Just read it off of ESPN.com here. It says, while that debate may never be settled, James, in a wide-ranging series of interviews with ESPN conducted during the season, acknowledged the influence Jordan had on him. Well, duh. I hope I made him proud at least wearing that number 23. I never have compared myself to MJ because our games are totally different. I have been a point forward my whole life. I've always looked for the pass. MJ kind of looked for the shot. Not kind of, he did. He looked for the shot. LeBron looking for the pass? Okay. There are a lot of things where I would say my game is a lot different and a little better than his, but blank, he was blanking great. We're both great. We're both great basketball players. There are a lot of things that MJ did better than I do, and I think there are some things I do better than him. That's just how the game goes. There's a lot of things that I can say in particular. You already know how this conversation is going to be misinterpreted by people. I think I am one of one. I think the way I play the game, I am one of one player, and MJ as well. A blanking, unbelievable basketball player. I think his mid-range jump shot was unbelievable. He did so many great things. I grew up blanking, analyzing everything that he did, how he could get to his spot and rise above everybody. Obviously, his post game was elite. His will to win, I think that is the trait that we all know and that we all wanted to be like, his determination to win. You can look at both of us and say that you love both of us without trying to blank on each other. And usually it's, well, he cusses a lot in this thing, apparently. It's blanking on me. But I know for sure that I've done my part in this journey. You know, the older I've gotten, I've really kind of, now, again, if we're just picking between Jordan and MJ, I'm picking Jordan. If we're picking it to start a team, I'm picking Jordan. But the older I have gotten, I've really started to subscribe more to the fact of the eras. And that's always been, you know, you can't compare players of different eras. And that has been talked about, mentioned for the longest time now. And the older I've gotten, I've really kind of subscribed to that fact more. Because, no, I don't think, I'll just say this, I don't think you can compare Don Hutson to a Randy Moss. It's just, you can't. Eras, type of player, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think you can. Jordan and LeBron, two different players. Shaq and Kareem, two different players. I think in basketball, it's a little bit easier for, you know, if you're creating your all-time team. Okay, well, you got 5 different positions you can essentially pick. You can go positionless, or you can try to go straight up. I want a typical 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, football even. You know, quarterbacks going to be different. Otto Graham is always highly ranked. Johnny Unitas, are they different than Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers? Heck yeah. You know, baseball, is it almost fair to say that, gosh, I don't even know, like baseball is the closest in terms of gaps between era? You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, what sport would you say has the biggest gap in terms of, like, types of talent or talents? You know what I mean? So, like a football receiver from the 30s compared to a football receiver right now. To me, that is quite a big gap. Quarterback arm strength, probably a big gap. Baseball, would you say, is a little bit closer? Basketball, now you got big men shooting, you know, the threes and such. But at least in basketball, you know, we can still have fun by creating our all-time starting 5 or our all-time team. And in football, when you kind of do it now and you pick quarterback, it's like you kind of look at arm strengths, you know, maybe now mobility and that sort of thing. It's I've really subscribed more to the and I don't think that's a knock on players. I don't think it's a knock to say you can't really compare because of different eras. Sports has changed. Players, the athletes, the build, the talent, their physical specimens have changed over the years. But it's going to be a debate. It's a fun debate. It's, you know, some people take it really seriously. And that's the beauty thing about sports when it comes to these type of GOAT debates, is that there is like no right or wrong answer. You're not going to get, failed on a test, or you're not going to be, punished for picking the wrong one. It's a fun debate to have. And it's a debate that'll go on and on and on and on. And everybody's going to have different. There's never, ever, 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 ever going to be 100%, 100% all in favor of this person as being the best player of all time, or this team being the best player of all time. Worst rapper. That's the beauty part of sports. And that's, as long as it's like a respectful conversation, people don't take it so seriously, although some people do, and it's like that's going to ruin their lives. But that's the beauty part of sports talk too, is we can have those conversations once in a while. We can sit in our man caves. We could go with hop on a bar stool and say, man, I think Ken Griffey Jr. would have been the best baseball player of all time if he would have stayed healthy. And somebody would be like, no, it's Willie Mays. No, it's Babe Ruth, dude. Or no, now it's Shohei. We can have those debates and we can have those arguments. I don't like to say arguments because I feel like arguments kind of gives it a negative connotation. So maybe banter. But if it were me, in just my opinion, I'm still picking. If I had to pick between Jordan and LeBron, I'm still going to pick Jordan. And maybe some of that is because I grew up watching him, even though I was not a fan of his and I did not like him, because it was straight up, he beat my teams. That's the only reason I did not like Michael Jordan. And I know some people still struggle with the fact that why I'm a fan of Michael Jordan now, and I wasn't as a kid. It was straight up, I was a young kid, and he beat my teams. It's the same reason why my kid right now does not like Tom Brady, because all he did was win. But it's the jealousy factor. Would I have loved to have Jordan on my favorite teams? Heck yeah, if it meant all those championships. Are you kidding me? God, yeah. Jordan was on my Orlando team with Penny and Shaq. Hey, now. If he was with the Bucks during those days, maybe I would have been a bigger Bucks fan. But it ain't going anywhere anytime soon. You're going to have your different reasons, again, for the Jordan and LeBron debate. It's going to be championships, resumes. It's going to be points. It's going to be longevity. It's going to be awards, however you want to define it. I think it's... I know. The NBA one is very unique because I think when you ask a lot of people who is the GOAT, it's between two. You might have some people throw in Kobe or Kareem or Magic or Larry at the back end. But for the most part, it's a LeBron versus MJ debate. Do we have that in any other, like in hockey? Is it Gretzky versus Gordie Howe, or is it just it's Gretzky and everybody else? Like, I don't feel like in any other sport, and maybe I'm missing it, where it's like 1v1. Like even in the NFL, is it Tom Brady versus Montana? But what about Jim Brown? What about Lawrence Taylor? I think from the NFL standpoint, it is quarterback versus quarterback, and it's Brady versus Montana at that point. But I think, NBA-wise, it's straight up LeBron, MJ. Who are you rolling with? Are you team LeBron or are you team MJ? I'm team MJ. I'm going team MJ. All right, we got to take a quick break. Back with plenty more, though, coming up after these quick words. So we got a little more details on the Jaden Reed contract, it looks like. So his cap hit went up a little bit more this year. He's got a cap hit this year of about, let's round, $6.8 million. His 2027 cap hit does jump up to about $10.9 million, but it's also a dead cap hit of 15. So at least a couple of years. It does say after that is a potential out where in 2028, his cap hit's going to be $17.6 million and a dead cap hit of 10. So, I mean, if it's a 2-year deal, some people say it's going to be like a 2-year deal this year and then 2027, and then we'll see. That's a popular phrase, kind of like Andrew Brandt says. Otherwise, 2029, he's got a cap hit of 17 and then a dead cap of just 5. So I almost feel like it's this year, 2027, 2028, and then we'll kind of see. Because you're talking about nearly a $12 million difference between dead cap hit and cap hit. And he'll be 29 in 2029. So he's just still 26 this year. So ultimately, what does it all mean? I think this is a very he's getting a good chunk of change. And yes, it is a double-digit cap hit, but ultimately I do think this is a very team fair deal, a fair deal for both sides. I don't want to say straight-up team-friendly. I do think it's a fair deal for both sides. And honestly, if I had to lean towards one way, it might be a little bit towards a favor for team-friendly for the Packers. But now with this on the books, where's Green Bay at right now in cap space? Well, they got about, according to Spot Track, about $21 million available in cap space. And remember, that's going to be has the Nate Hobbs June 1st thing on there. Watson is currently on a $6.7 million cap hit. And then, 6.3. I was looking at Sean Ryan's. Depending on what his new contract's going to look like, too. I'll be curious if that actually stays the same, goes up, goes down. But ultimately, they got room. And it's going to go down a little bit after they get their rookie class all signed up. That's going to happen. But they're going to have more room to get some of these extensions done. They've got plenty of room to do that so far. So, couple more picks here for favorite athletes. We've got Chuck Foreman. Surveyor, you'd like that one. Surveyor's got a good story about Chuck Foreman. Don't have a name for this texter, but they say Muhammad Ali. If you haven't, give me a name if you haven't texted in before, just so I can refer to you by name, and hopefully you message the program more and such. But yeah, last call. I'm going to say last call right now because we've got quite a few of you, so I'm going to start to assign numbers and such. But if you want to win, or you want a chance to win this Jackson Churio PSA graded 10 card, video right there, so you can see them right there. All you got to do is simply text me or chime in on the video stream your favorite player, favorite athlete when you were a kid, when you were younger. That's it. You throw that over there, you send that to me, I'm going to automatically enter you in for the drawing. All right? There you go. That's simple. And then next week, I think for sure I'm going to put a Paul Molitor one in there because a lot of you are texting Paul Molitor, so I should probably throw one of the Paul Molitors out there for everybody to have a chance to win. So, Packers-wise, staying with it, what's the position now after the draft, the position group where you kind of are like, I'm a little nervous about the depth? A lot of you going with running back. I would say the top three are running back, offensive line, and still corner. Even though the Packers drafted 2 corners, cornerback room has been mentioned. I'd say the top 2 for sure, offensive line and running back from a lot of you. I won't go through all the text, but just because it would just be some people just texted offensive line or running back. So I'd say those are easily the top 2. And honestly, I probably would agree with that. because outside of Josh Jacobs, I'm a little nervous because the big uncertainty surrounding Marshawn Lloyd. Who's good? Is he going to stay healthy? Is the hamstring issues, all good and clear? Jacobs was banged up a lot last year. He played through it, but hey, there's no Emmanuel Wilson on this roster anymore. It's Chris Brooks. I like Chris Brooks, but I think of him more as a third down type of back. Marshawn Lloyd, I think, has the tail. It's just availability. We talk about that. That's the key word. Can you be available? Availability in this thing. So, yeah. And then I look at our offensive line. They've got some interior depth, but what about left tackle? Who's the backup left tackle right now? Is it Kennard? Can he go to the left side? Is he more suited for right tackle? If Morgan goes down, do you move Zach Tom over there? I'd like a little bit more depth at the tackle position. And maybe they can find a veteran. I do think they need to find one more inline wide tight end. They're going to roll with Tucker and Luke Musgrave, and Luke Musgrave's more the seam, down the field type of threat, but I do think they like their blocking tight ends too, and I think they need to go get another one. And Goody did acknowledge that after the draft too, that kind of would have liked that. And there's some veteran free agents that could come in on a one-year deal and fill that role. But I would agree with the majority. It's left tackle specifically if I was looking at offensive line and some running back depth. All right. Tell you what, let's take a quick break and we'll do our little Inside the Hobby segments. Okay, that's coming up after these quick words. So Wednesdays are our Inside the Hobby segments where we talk a little bit about maybe card collecting, sports memorabilia, that sort of thing. And every couple of weeks we chat with Ty from Slab Factory and such. And the other times we kind of take a look at some of the latest news and stories out there in the world of sports memorabilia, sports collecting. And I came upon this one that the Detroit Pistons are announcing the launch of Pistons Collectibles. It's a program that will debut with the first true collectible ticket program in professional sports history. So the platform debuts, I'm reading this off of CLLCT.com, that's collect. They announced a memorabilia they announced a partnership with the Detroit Pistons, launching Pistons Collectibles, a new collectibles and memorabilia platform. The platform debuts with Motor City Mint, the first program in professional sports history that offers fans a direct pathway to purchase a professionally graded, PSA authenticated collectible ticket for every home playoff game. Motor City Mint produces 250 limited edition collectible tickets per 2026 NBA playoff home game, printed on premium heavy card stock, individually serialized with official ticketing information, designed with game-specific artwork, capable of being graded and slabbed by PSA. Every ticket ships to buyers as a finished, authenticated piece in branded packaging. And for the first time, a professional sports franchise is treating the ticket itself as a collectible asset class from the moment of creation and building an entire collectible infrastructure around it. This comes as demands from fans and collectors alike to bring back paper tickets has reached a fever pitch. This is kind of cool because I am one that I have saved all of my ticket stubs to every Packers game. I haven't saved them to every game I've gone, every sports game, but every Packers one I have. And even when they went ticketless, I would screenshot the ticket off my phone and then print it and put it in my binder. So I am all about these ticket stubs, and I know some of them have really gone up in price and that. I'll never sell them. I say that now, but you never know, I guess. Never say never. But it's kind of I'll go back, and it's kind of like a history book for me of all the games that I've gone to. And just kind of, I remember that game. I remember exactly what happened then. Going through that. Oh, yep. Remember being there, remember doing this, tailgating here, and it's like a story. It's almost like a picture book that comes with a story. And I think the school, I think a team like Green Bay, for instance, if they did something like this, it would be through the roof. And I just wonder, and yes, you go to the pro shop, you go to the Packers pro shop, they've got, you could buy some used spikes, cleats, pants, some of the gear that the players wore. Sometimes when they're, getting rid of chairs, they'll put it on the put it in the pro shop to sell, or they'll cut up a bleacher and sell that. But if like the Packers, all this talk about trying to make extra revenue without naming rights and such, if they started their own like Packers collectibles thing, that thing I think would skyrocket. That would just go through the roof if they did something like that. And I wonder if we're going to see more teams kind of get into this market. Kind of get into this collectible market where they create their own exclusive stuff. And yes, when you go to the pro shop they've already got a page called like memorabilia and collectibles in that. And, it might be the Highland Mint photos or some of those plaques and such. But I'm talking about more of like these ticket stub things, or maybe even player stuff or team historical stuff. Is there more of a market for that type of thing? And I think for a team of the Packers caliber, I think that I'd be, lack of a better word, a victim of that, because I'd be like, oh man, okay, you're selling, let's say they ever, and I know they've done it before, but let's say they completely replace all the bleachers. I'd buy one to put in my man cave. Granted, a lot would depend on the price, but yeah, yeah. I'm kind of jealous of a lot of people. I swear how many people I know that have the Metrodome seats. I'm kind of jealous because I would like a seat from Lambeau Field to put into my man cave, but it's just bleachers. Hey, I'll take a bleacher. I'll put it up next to, I'll make a bleacher bench and put it underneath the bar, and that's kind of where you sit there. That's what I would do with that. I'm jealous that a lot of people have the Metrodome seats. Then they could set it up and have something like that. There's a house kind of in my neighborhood. I don't know if there's a story behind it, but it's like on the outside. They got like a little hill next to their house, and they've got like two. It looks like the Metrodome seats, but there's like two of them mounted on this little hill of theirs. And I don't know if it is a Metrodome seat or I don't know if it's just regular boat seats or what, but I want something like that for my man cave, but it's got to be from somewhere. And, man, so Green Bay, if you want to, like, completely remodel all those the thing is, too, I'm of the age, I would love seat backs. I would love the comfy seats like the new section. I can't see Green Bay ever, ever, ever doing that because it would take away some of the seats, which means you're taking away some of the tickets. Unless they were to expand where they could add more seats to even it all out, I don't think they're getting rid of the bleachers anytime soon because that, if you put in those nice comfy seats, it takes away some of those seats. Although me in my age and old age and back in that, gosh, I would love that. That's why I like sitting up in a new section. I get the comfy seat. It might be a little bit higher, but I get a comfy seat, especially in the cold weather. And then you're like trying to tuck in with everybody because they've got all these, layers on, or even in the hot ones in the summer. And it's like, I don't want to sit next to this person. They're sweating and all that. But I wonder if we're going to see even more teams kind of, with this Pistons collectibles. Can you imagine like a Packers collectibles or Brewers collectibles, and you could get players to sign stuff, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this stuff kind of come down the line. And this is just a couple more what fans can expect from Pistons collectibles. Motor City Mint is the debut product, but Pistons Collectibles is being built as a year-round platform. Key elements of the program will include Motor City Mint, PSA-graded limited edition collectible tickets for all 2025-26 NBA playoff home games at Little Caesars Arena, game-used and player-signed memorabilia, verified and authenticated items available through curated drops and seasonal releases. There you go. Milestone and heritage releases, collectible products tied to jersey retirements, career landmarks, championship anniversaries, franchise history. Yep. Modern drop formats, serialized editions, surprise and delight releases, and packaging designed for display and sharing. Retail and arena activations, in-venue experiences, community touchpoints, and partner integrations that connect product to real-world moments. All right, that's your Inside the Hobby. Okay, last call. This is your legit last call now. Last call if you want a chance to win this Jackson Churio PSA graded 10 2022 Bowman Mega Box Jackson Churio Chrome card. All you got to do is text who your favorite athlete was as a kid. It can be any sport. Or you can comment on the video stream too. This is your last one. As soon as we come back from commercial break, that's the cutoff. That's going to be the cutoff. All right. So let's take a quick break, and we'll wrap it up. We've got picks to make. Brewers back at it tonight. Can they get another win and secure a Series W with Brandon Sproat on the mound? They're going to be able to do that tonight? We'll pick that. Pick some hoops, hockey, more baseball games, and wrap things up. Coming up after these few words. That's pretty cool. A few of you have just chimed in the last hour or so that if you do win the Jackson Cheerio card, that you would like to donate it to a youngster. So that's really nice of you. To all of you who did that. So, all right, I'll make that a note if you are selected as the winner. So big thanks to everybody for texting on in. I'll try to think of another good one for next week for our Paul Molitor card giveaway. Just kind of an easy one for everybody to chime in. Huge thanks. It was awesome seeing all these different names of different athletes coming through. So, and hopefully spark some good memories back to when you were a youngster, when you were, really love sport. Our first really getting into sports and our first maybe, pro role models or who we wanted to be when we were kids. So big thanks again for everybody for participating in that. And again, big thanks to Paul for donating these cards so that we could do these fun giveaways. Let's do some picks here. We got 3 games on the NBA docket. Orlando at Detroit. As much as I want to pick my Magic, I think Detroit gets the win. Orlando still leads the series, though, 3-2. They're heading in this game up 3-1. I think Detroit wins just to stay alive for a little bit longer. Hopefully, the Trace McGrady curse won't happen to Orlando like it did when McGrady, as the Magic were an 8 seed one year and the Pistons were the top seed, and McGrady said, it feels good to be in the second round. Pistons went on to win the next 3. So, yeah. Toronto versus Colorado. That series, Toronto versus Colorado. Toronto versus Cleveland. That series is tied at 2 apiece. I am going to go with Cleveland. Houston taking on the Lakers. I think the Lakers end it tonight, and they win the series. Hockey-wise, by the way, last night for some NBA games, Boston fell to Philadelphia, so Philadelphia is still alive. Boston still leads that series 3-2. The Knicks got the victory against Atlanta. They lead that series 3-2. San Antonio defeated Portland, so they move on. NHL Stanley Cup playoffs last night. We saw Boston picking up a 2-1 win in overtime, so Buffalo leads that series 3-2. The Wild of Minnesota picked up a 4-2 victory. They now lead that series 3-2. And Edmonton picked up a victory 4-1 against the Ducks. Anaheim still leads that series 3-2. For our 3 games on the dockets for tonight, we've got Montreal taking on Tampa Bay. That series is tied at 2 apiece. I will go with Tampa Bay. We got Philly taking on Pittsburgh. Philly leads that series 3-2. I'm going to go with Philly to win the series tonight. Utah taking on Vegas. That series is tied at 2 apiece. I will roll with Vegas. All right, let's do some baseball picks. We've got Tampa Bay taking on Cleveland. I'll go Cleveland. Angels, White Sox. I'll go Angels. Mariners, Twins. I'll go Mariners. Yankees, Rangers. Give me the Yankees. Red Sox and Toronto. I'll go Toronto. Miami versus the Dodgers. Miami picking up the win last night. Shohei Ohtani getting a loss. Jansen Junk getting the win. I think Dodgers bounce back, get the win. Tyler Glasnow's on the mound. Cubs, Padres. Ugh. Come on, Padres. Get the win. Houston, Baltimore. I'll go Baltimore. Colorado versus Cincinnati. Come on, Colorado. I'll go Cincinnati, though. Giants, Phillies. Ooh, Logan Webb, Sanchez. I'm going to go Giants. St. Louis versus Pittsburgh. I'll go Pittsburgh. Washington taking on the Mets. I'll go Mets. Tigers, Braves. I'm going to go Tigers because the Scoople's on the mound. Kansas City versus the Athletics. I'll go with the Athletics. And then Arizona versus the Brewers. Sprout versus Rodriguez. I hate this, but I'm probably going to go with the Diamondbacks. It's just Rodriguez, left-handed pitcher. I get worried about the lineup that the Brewers are going to throw out there, the lack of right-handed at-bats going up against that. So I'm going to go facts, but I really hope I'm wrong. Hey, if you want to watch some Blue Gold action, we've got softball and baseball in action for the Blue Golds today. I know men's golf's going on right now, Y Championships, but baseball is going to wrap up their series with Whitewater. They got a game at 3 o'clock at Carson Park, and then Stout versus the Blue Golds for softball. That's also going to be here in Eau Claire. So if you want to get outside and maybe watch some baseball or softball, you can do that today. Softball, it's a doubleheader, Bollinger Field. So first game's going to be at 4 and then 6 p.m. before the Blue Golds wrap up their regular season this weekend. Again, it'll be in Eau Claire going up against UW Whitewater. So, and then baseball, they're going to be at Carson Park today for first pitch at 3 p.m. And the Blue Gold baseball team is going to wrap up their regular season on the road with a couple doubleheaders against River Falls starting on Friday. So get on out and watch some baseball or softball if you want to get outside. So, all right, tomorrow's Thursday. What do we got on the docket? Here's your homework assignments, everybody. Ready? Takeover Thursday. Think about a topic that you would like to throw out to chat with the rest of our listeners. You think, I think this would be a good topic. What are you guys' thoughts? What is everybody's thoughts on this? Think about that for a little bit. You get to act like the producer for tomorrow, so come up with some topic ideas for our Takeover Thursday. It is also a Enough is Enough Thursday. What's the sports narrative, sports take, sports story that has you going, enough is enough with this? Come on. Maybe it is the NCAA basketball tournament expanding to 76 teams where you're like, man, enough is enough with that thing. Can we just stop? It's a tailgate outdoors, so we'll talk with Jake Bilks right before the opener of the fishing season coming up this weekend. It's already going to be May, first weekend of May, fishing. All right, so think about if you got any questions for Jake, especially if you're going to be heading out for the opener. You can text those on over right now if you'd like. If you want to do that, go ahead and do so. Just the easiest way, the best way, so I could collect them and get those to Jake is via that Shoe Doctors bullpen line with a quick text at 715-830-1912. So, but you can send those on over starting now, and I'll save them for tomorrow. Don't forget Brewers tonight, 6:40. First pitch coverage will begin 35 minutes prior, so 6:05. You can tune into the game on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. So got that, and then hopefully tomorrow morning we'll be talking about a Brewers series win and maybe looking ahead to a sweep. Getaway day game tomorrow at 12:40 before the Brewers hit the road to take on the Washington Nationals. So, but one game at a time. One game at a time. Let's get this win today, secure the series victory, and then hopefully Brandon Woodruff can lead the Brew Crew to a sweep a little bit later on. So, but yeah, fingers crossed, just get the win tonight and maybe get some help from elsewhere. Also on the docket tomorrow, we'll see if maybe we'll throw some more football talk in here too, but it's kind of wrapping up this. I know they've got some rookie mini camps and such coming up here too. So, but maybe we'll throw a little bit more football chat in here too. Kind of quiet on the Bucs side of things. Probably waiting for season to kind of wrap up and such. But maybe we'll have another fun topic like we had the last couple of days here that kind of gets you down your memory lane and kind of think about it a little bit. So those are always fun to get everybody's takes and opinions on. So again, big thanks to everybody who did text in for your favorite athlete. If you get a text from me saying you're the winner, you're the winner. If you don't get a text or you don't get a message on YouTube, it means you didn't win. And try again next week because I got a bag full. I got a bag full of some of these cards, and it's going to be a Paul Molitor one next week because we've got a few of those. And a lot of you this morning texting in that Paul Molitor is your favorite player. So going to have to throw a Paul Molitor one out there for everybody to put in. There's a lot of baseball ones. I think we got a couple more football ones in there, but yeah, we'll kind of focus. And we got some packs in there too, like from the early 90s. I might have to reach out to Paul and see if we can maybe open up one of those packs as part of our Inside the Hobby, a live pack opening or something like that. That'd be fun. So, all right. As always, don't forget to follow, subscribe to the Man Cave Podcast. We got new episodes up daily. Be a friend, tell a friend, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just ring that bell. That would be awesome if you can help out over there and get those subscriptions up. It doesn't cost you anything. I hate using that word, but that's the technical word for it. So have a good rest of your day. All right, if you can get outside, go watch some Blue Gold baseball, some Blue Gold and Stout softball coming your way. So, again, both those games, Carson Park and then Bollinger Field. Carson Park for baseball, Bollinger Field for softball. Have a good rest of your day. Same place, same time tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Talk to you then.